Chapter 763. Oh, Yin Chuan was surprised. Just the two of them? Sigh. It's because of the decline of my lineage that I had no choice but to return home. Otherwise, Wudi's mistress wouldn't have. The Dugu, Sword Emperor, said bitterly. Yin Wudi saw that the Dugu Sword Emperor was immersed in sorrow again and immediately changed the topic. Uncle, why are you here? I happened to pass by and came to see you. You can call me Uncle Chuan from now on, Yin Chuan said with a smile. You don't want to call me uncle anymore? Yin Wudi's expression changed. Uncle Chuan, have you taken over the Yin state? Yin Wudi asked seriously. That's right. I've established a dynasty in the east, the Great Zhun dynasty. Yin Chuan nodded. Then, Yin Chuan told him everything that had happened in the past few years. After hearing everything, Yin Wudi smiled bitterly. I thought I had made a big breakthrough in the past few years, but compared to Uncle Chuan, I'm still far behind. Great Zhun dynasty? Destroyed the Great Winged Heaven School? The Dugu, Sword Emperor's eyes flashed with admiration. All right, Brother Yin, there's something I need you to do for Wudi. The Dugu Sword Emperor suddenly said with a serious expression. Oh, I promised you that I would teach Wudi everything I know. Wudi didn't disappoint me. His talent and swordsmanship is 100 times better than mine. However, this is the Dugu family after all. If others knew about it, they would stop us many times. Therefore, we announced to the public that Wudi is my adopted son to stop them from talking. However, Wudi has always been concerned about it and has to report it to his parents. The Dugu Sword Emperor said with a smile. Yin Chuan looked at Yin Wudi. Yin Wudi was a little embarrassed. Ha, I thought it was nothing. Wudi, the Dugu Sword Emperor has treated you with sincerity and is worthy of being your adoptive father. Let me make the decision. Today, we will settle your status. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Uncle Chuan, Yin Wudi was still a little upset. What? I don't have the qualifications to make decisions for you? Yin Chuan said with a solemn expression. No, it's just... Yin Wudi was a little embarrassed. The Dugu Sword Emperor took you in as his godson, and he won't taint you. He's just your godfather, not your father. Remember your bloodline. Remember your Yin clan bloodline. Yin Chuan smiled. No, your nephew wouldn't dare. For Master to acknowledge me as his son is an unparalleled blessing. Yin Wudi immediately corrected himself. Ah, good. The Dugu Sword Emperor laughed. Under Yin Chuan's guidance, Yin Wudi bowed 9 times to the Dugu Sword Emperor and offered him tea. They were officially father and son. Yin Chuan could see that after officially accepting him as his son, the Dugu Sword Emperor looked at Yin Wudi with even more affection. That day, Yin Chuan and the Emperor were arranged to stay. Yin Chuan and Yin Wudi also had a private conversation. Uncle Chuan, do you think I should call myself Yin Wudi or Dugu Wudi in the future? Yin Wudi was a little distressed. Is that important? You just need to remember who you are. That's enough. A name is just a name. More importantly, you are now cultivating in an aristocratic family, not a sect. Aristocratic families are stricter than sects, and they value inheritance more. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Oh, Dugu family? You are born with a sword bone. This is definitely rare in the Dugu family. Excessive talent will definitely arouse the jealousy of others. Your master can protect you once or twice, but can he protect you forever? Now that you have acknowledged him as your godfather, it will be of great help to your future cultivation. Dugu family, cultivate well, and when you have achieved great success in the way of the sword, come back and help your Uncle Chuan. Yin Chuan smiled. Yes, your nephew will study hard and not let Uncle Chuan down. Yin Wudi's expression also brightened. Chapter 764. Yes, your nephew will study diligently and not disappoint Uncle Chuan's expectations. Yin Wudi's expression also brightened. How are the books I asked you to read? Yin Chuan asked. Uncle Chuan, rest assured, your nephew has not been blindly practicing the sword all these years. I have been studying the military books that Uncle Chuan gave me day and night. Later on, in some of the mortal countries nearby, I manipulated the war between the countries. It was really wonderful. Books are the essence of wisdom. In these years, when I have free time, I have also looked for books of wisdom in the mortal world. In addition to military books, there are also books of law, Confucianism, law, and business. I am involved in all of them. Yin Wudi said proudly. Well done. Yin Chuan nodded with satisfaction. Moreover, sometimes when I practice the sword, I can comprehend a lot of things from these books. There are no shackles on my cultivation. Instead, it allows me to continuously break through. Yin Wudi said solemnly. You're right. Books aren't just about the art of war. Most importantly, they're about wisdom. Putting you aside, even I have been reading a lot of books recently. Even though there are many books that are useless to me, they can still increase my knowledge and knowledge. When it's time to use them, I'll be able to comprehend them by analogy. Yes. Yin Wudi nodded. Tell me about the Dugu family. What do you think of the 3 sword veins? Yin Chuan said solemnly. Uncle Chuan, you want to study the Dugu family? Why is that, could it be? Yin Wudi suddenly showed a surprised expression. Yin Chuan stretched out a finger and waved it gently. He smiled slightly and stopped Yin Wudi from continuing. But at this moment, Yin Wudi already understood. Suddenly, his eyes widened and his heart started to beat rapidly. His face was full of disbelief. Wudi, remember this. Man proposes, God disposes. Whether you can succeed or not is not important. What is important is whether you have tried. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yin Wudi's face twitched wildly as his expression changed. Then, his expression became firm as he looked at Yin Chuan. A trace of firmness flashed in his eyes, but it was more of reverence for Yin Chuan. You and I share the same blood. In this world, you and I are family at all times. I want to rise, Great Zhun wants to rise, and so does the Yin clan. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, I understand. Yin Wudi took a deep breath. Yin Wudi was born as the crown prince, so he naturally had boundless arrogance. From a young age until now, he had never bowed to anyone. Toward Yin Xiuyu and the Dugu Sword Emperor, it was more due to the kindness of a father or a teacher. Only toward Yin Chuan did he bow to anyone. In fact, all these years, he had been working hard with Yin Chuan as his role model. Uncle Chuan, my 3-sword branch is the weakest in the Dugu family. There are only me and my foster father. The strongest is the 9-sword branch. There are 3 middle void stage experts in his branch. I have a feeling that the 9-sword branch wants to harm the rest of us all the time. Yin Wudi said with a frown. Feeling? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Yes, I don't know why. It's just an inexplicable feeling. Could it be that I'm overthinking? After all, they didn't show any abnormalities. Yin Wudi said with a frown. Yin Chuan stared at Yin Wudi for a while. In the end, he shook his head and said, No, remember, don't doubt this primitive feeling at any time. I didn't expect that you have other talents besides the innate sword bone. Your spiritual sense is naturally stronger than others. This is a good thing. It allows you to sense a lot of external dangers. Use it well in the future. Also, don't tell anyone about this except for me. This is your life-saving method. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Chapter 765. Yes, thank you for your guidance, Uncle Chuan. Yin Wudi was overjoyed. You said that the 9 swords branch wants to hurt the rest of you. Yin Chuan looked at Yin Wudi. Yes, I feel that they're not only targeting the 3 swords branch, but the other sword branches as well. I don't know why. Yin Wudi frowned. The truth will surface eventually. Just be careful in the future. Yin Chuan nodded. Yes. Yin Wudi nodded. I heard that the Dugu family has a heritage of 20,000 years. Do you have any upper void realm experts? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Yin Wudi thought for a moment and said, Yes, the family head, Dugu Butian, should be at the upper void realm. Also, there are disciples at the upper void realm in the past generations. Most of them ascended to the immortal realm, but those talented sword practitioners all entered the sword tomb when they were at the upper void realm and lived with the family head. After that, there was no news about them. 50 years ago, the family head summoned all 3 upper void realm experts to the sword tomb. After that, there was no news about them. Yin Wudi said strangely, Sword tomb? That's the forbidden area of the Dugu family and also the residence of the family head. No one is allowed to enter unless summoned by the family head. Anyone who enters will die. Even the branch master of the Nine Swords branch will die if he enters. Yin Wuti frowned. Yes. Yin Chuan nodded and pondered for a moment. Secluded cultivation? It was strange enough that Dugu Butian had been in secluded cultivation for 20,000 years. Why did he summon all the experts of the Dugu family? What on earth were they doing? By the way, Uncle Chuan, I seem to have some kind of illness. Sometimes I feel that my blood is burning and my heartbeat is increasing rapidly. Several times, I thought that I was possessed by the devil. I only calmed down after a long time of secluded cultivation. But I couldn't find out. Yin Wuti said with a complicated expression. Ha ha, of course you couldn't find out. It's not an illness. It's the divine sense of the Yin clan. Yin Chuan laughed. Divine sense? Super divine ability. Blood demon fantasy world. Yin Chuan laughed. After staying in the Three Swords Hall for a period of time, Yin Chuan personally taught Yin Wuti many things and talked about many things. The relationship between uncle and nephew was also very harmonious. However, during this period of time, the Dugu Sword Emperor had disappeared. A month later, the Dugu Sword Emperor finally returned to the Three Swords Palace, covered in blood. Father, what's wrong with you? Who hurt you? Yin Wuti suddenly exclaimed. Yin Chuan and the Emperor also looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor in surprise. When the Dugu Sword Emperor saw Yin Wuti's concern for him, he felt a sense of relief. It's fine, I did it myself. The Dugu Sword Emperor consoled. Yin Wuti looked confused. The Dugu Sword Emperor was covered in sword wounds, and his clothes were stained red with blood. Did he do it himself? Seeing Yin Wuti's confusion, the Dugu Sword Emperor also felt a sense of bitterness. Wuti, ever since my master was brought into the sword catacomb by the patriarch 50 years ago, our bloodline has declined to the extreme. All these years, you've been treated coldly. The Dugu Sword Emperor swallowed a pill and smiled bitterly. Father, you should treat your injuries first, Yin Wuti said worriedly. It's fine, it's just some superficial wounds. Actually, a year ago, something big happened in the family. I didn't tell you about it. Originally, I didn't have any delusions, but ever since I officially recognized you as my son, I couldn't help but fight for you. Unfortunately, my cultivation is too low. If I went, I would only be humiliating myself. The Dugu Sword Emperor smiled bitterly. Chapter 766. Father, what's the matter? Yin Wuti was puzzled. My Dugu family is going to choose a new family head. The Dugu Sword Emperor took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Choose a new family head? What about Dugu Butian? The Emperor frowned in surprise. I don't know. The old patriarch might be going to the immortal world, or he might have other plans. No one knows what the old patriarch is thinking. A year ago, only the leaders of the 9 bloodlines knew. They were fighting for the new patriarch position. Unfortunately, my cultivation base is too low, so I didn't participate. This time for my son, I went once, and that's the truth. I only took 100 steps before I was seriously injured. Dugu Jianwang said bitterly. Dugu Butian? Is he going to give up his position? Yin Chuan's eyes suddenly lit up. He took a deep breath and turned to look at Yin Wuti, and then at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Father, although it's just a superficial wound, it's better to heal it first. Rest for a while, and then we'll make a long-term plan. Yin Wuti immediately advised. And the Dugu Sword Emperor nodded. The Dugu Sword Emperor went to his residence to clean his wounds. Only the Emperor, Yin Chuan, and Yin Wuti were left in the Three Swords Palace. The Emperor frowned slightly and said, I've been challenging all the palace heads for the past month. Why do they all avoid me? Oh. Yin Chuan looked at the Emperor. Yin Wuti explained, Uncle Chuan, according to the Dugu family's rules, the family head can't be disturbed when he's in seclusion, unless the family survival is at stake, or someone comes to defeat the palace head of the Nine Swords Palace. You can inform the family head. I must see Dugu Butian, the Emperor said solemnly. Choose a new family head? Yin Chuan frowned and pondered. Uncle Chuan? Yin Wudi also looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan naturally understood Yin Wudi's meaning. He nodded and said, "I'll do my best and leave the rest to fate. If possible, I will help the Dugu Sword Emperor become the new patriarch." Yin Wudi nodded. A hint of joy appeared on his face. After years of worship, Yin Wudi had absolute faith in Yin Chuan's words. 2 days later, Yin Chuan, the Emperor, the Dugu Sword Emperor, and Yin Wudi were standing on a mountain to the north of the Dugu family. On the mountain, he looked at the foggy area in the north. In this vast region, divine swords were stabbed into the ground. There were also divine swords flying in the sky. They floated high up in the sky, emitting a murderous aura. The sky was so dark that it seemed to be pressing down on everyone's hearts. Just looking at the sea of divine swords in front of them made it hard for them to breathe. It was as if there were tens of thousands of divine swords pressing down on them. "This is the sword catacomb," Dugu Sword Emperor said in a deep voice. "Father, you said that the patriarch said a year ago that anyone who passes through the sword catacomb and reaches the patriarch's residence in the center will be the new patriarch?" Yin Wudi asked in surprise. "Yes. It's a pity that the sword catacomb is too strong. No one can pass through the 9-sword palace. I only walked 100 steps before I was forced back by the countless divine swords in the sword catacomb," Dugu Sword Emperor said bitterly. "Good swords. These swords must have been forged by sword masters. Why would they be buried here?" Yin Chuan looked at the countless divine swords in the sword catacomb in surprise. "Buried? Heh! All the sword of my Dugu family, including my sword and Wudi sword, came from here. These swords were forged by the patriarch using the earth fire in the sword catacomb. The patriarch's sword Dao was invincible, so the swords were forged in batches. After they were forged, they were casually thrown into the sword catacomb. But I didn't expect that the patriarch's casual discard would create such a powerful sword array. Us juniors are far inferior to the patriarch," Dugu Sword Emperor said with a bitter smile. Chapter 767. Looking at the vast sword tomb, Yin Chuan took a deep breath and asked, "Is this sword tomb really that hard to enter? With my strength, I can only walk 100 steps." The Dugu Sword Emperor smiled bitterly. The emperor narrowed his eyes and said, "Dugu Butian is at the center of the sword tomb. Yes, he is at the center of the 9 Swords mountain range. Whoever gets there first will inherit the position of the patriarch," the Dugu Sword Emperor said in a deep voice. "Uncle Chuan?" Yin Wudi looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan did not act rashly. Instead, he quietly looked at the sword tomb. Looking at the sword tomb, Yin Chuan vaguely saw a formation. However, the formation was unpredictable and changed in the blink of an eye. "Let me try." The emperor pulled out his long blade and said, "Wait." Yin Chuan stopped the emperor. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan gestured at a spot not far away. Everyone looked over and saw a group of 300 people appear. Not far away, 300 figures walked out from a valley. Each of them carried a sword on their back and looked at the sword tomb. One of them was Dugu Tianya, the one who spoke rudely to the emperor before Yin Chuan entered the Dugu clan. 300 people with swords on their backs looked at the sword tomb with serious eyes. 9 Swords Palace? Are these all the emptiness realm experts of the 9 Swords Palace? The Dugu Sword Emperor said with a gloomy face. Yin Chuan and his group looked over. The 300 people seemed to have sensed something and turned their heads to look at them. When they saw Yin Chuan and his group, Dugu Tianya suddenly smiled. Dugu Tianya suddenly revealed a trace of ridicule as he said, "Dugu Jianwang? Ha ha! Your 3 Swords Palace wants to enter the sword tomb with only 2 people? Tianya, shut up." The leader of the group immediately shouted coldly. It was a long-haired man with a red mole between his eyebrows. His face was extremely stiff and expressionless, as if nothing could change his mood. As soon as the red mole man spoke, Dugu Tianya's face immediately turned solemn. "Yes," Dugu Tianya immediately said respectfully. The man with the red mole glanced at Yin Chuan and his group before turning to look at the sword tomb again. That's Dugu Tianji, the Hall Master of the Nine-Sword Hall. Yin Wudi explained. 8th level of the Middle Void stage? Yin Chuan raised his eyebrows. As expected, he broke through again. The Emperor frowned. The Nine Swords Palace has recalled all Emptiness Realm experts and is preparing to attack the tomb today, the Dugu Sword Emperor said with an unsightly expression. In the distance, Dugu Tianji suddenly turned his head and looked at the nearly 300 people. I know that you all have your own personal grudges, but I don't wish for them to explode at this moment. Remember, I don't care what grudges you have, but you all have to do your best to break through the tomb. If I find anyone slacking off, Dugu Tianji, will kill them, said Dugu Tianji coldly. Yes. Nearly 300 people answered at the same time. Let's go. Dugu Tianji shouted. Yes. 300 people stepped into the sword mound together. The moment the 300 people stepped into the sword mound, the divine swords near them started to vibrate. In an instant, hundreds of millions of sword energies appeared in the surroundings. As soon as the sword energies appeared, they rushed toward the 300 people with surging and ferocious power. Boom! Not only the sword energies, but the 300 illusory figures of the Nine Swords Palace slowly condensed within the sword energies. The illusory figures each held a sword and surrounded the 300 experts. Dang! Boom! Boom! Illusory figures that looked exactly the same as them were fighting with them? They were fighting with themselves? This wasn't an illusion, but an actual entity. The sword mound had condensed their own appearance to fight with them? Roar! Kill! Chapter 768. Yin Wudi was dazzled by the Dugu family sword Dao, and all sorts of exquisite sword techniques were displayed. Wait, these illusions seem to know their sword arts. That's Dugu Tianya's self-created 3 absolutes of the world. I recognize it, but how come the illusions know it too? Yin Wudi's expression darkened. Dugu Jianwang bitterly smiled. This is the terror of the sword tomb. The illusions it creates know all of your sword arts. Unless your sword Dao surpasses Patriarch Dugu Butian's, the illusions will know all of your sword arts. Moreover, they're even more unaffected by emotions than you are. Each of their attacks is even more accurate than yours. This is a domain? Dugu Butian's sword domain? Yin Chuan's expression darkened. The Emperor looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. You know about it too? Emperor, let me ask you. Yin Zizai is called the sword demon by you. How does his sword Dao compare to Dugu Butian's? Yin Chuan asked with a frown. The Emperor thought for a moment and shook his head. They haven't competed. Yin Zizai said he wanted a duel with Dugu Butian, but Dugu Butian refused. Dugu Butian said he doesn't use swords anymore. Dugu Butian said he doesn't use swords anymore. Yin Chuan was puzzled. Yes, I still remember that day. Dugu Butian said he doesn't touch swords anymore. He wants to forget about swords. He wants to completely forget about swords. Therefore, he didn't agree to the duel with Yin Zizai. The Emperor shook his head. The family head wants to forget about swords? How is that possible? The Dugu Sword Emperor exclaimed. The Emperor shook his head. That's the truth. Yin Zizai? Yin Wudi's eyes flashed. After all, Yin Wudi had learned about this ancestor from Yin Chuan. It was this ancestor's bloodline that gave him super abilities. Then, Yin Zizai is the sword demon? What level has his sword Dao reached? Yin Wudi asked curiously. The Emperor thought for a moment and said, Yin Zizai can also use this sword domain. Once the domain is formed, as long as the sword Dao doesn't surpass his, he can instantly copy all sword arts. Yin Zizai can also use it? Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with seriousness. In the distance, the 300 people from the Nine-Sword Hall were fighting with themselves. They were Dugu Butians. In fact, some of them were covered in bloody scars. The illusion knew all of his swordsmanship, and it was even more accurate than him. What was there to fight? Sword-swallowing art. Dugu Tianji shouted coldly. Buzz! The 300 people suddenly stopped, and the sword chi that was spurting out from their bodies immediately converged. The 300 peoples as the swords of the 300 people instantly blossomed with dazzling light. Boom! With great difficulty, the 300 phantoms were all killed. The 300 people were overjoyed. However, the blood vessels on their wrists burst. Clearly, the previous attack had injured them. Nevertheless, the phantoms disappeared. They took another 100 steps forward. However, after taking 100 steps, the phantoms appeared again. It was still the same 300 people. However, the phantoms were not only 300, but 3,000 or more. The phantoms appeared one after another. 10 selves stood in front of them. Every self pulled out a divine sword from the sword mound and looked at them coldly. When they were fighting one self, they were already in a difficult situation. Now there were 10 selves? Chapter 769. Standing outside. Even the Dugu, Sword Emperor, revealed a trace of fear. Haha. I originally thought that I would be able to enter as long as I destroyed one of the illusions. At that time, I didn't pass this stage. However, even after passing this stage, it still isn't over. There are still 10 more illusions waiting for me. Why did the Patriarch set up such a tyrannical sword formation to obstruct us? The Dugu Sword Emperor said bitterly. No, this isn't the end. I have seen Father set up the domain of the saber. Other than the illusions, there's also the domain of Heaven's wrath, which is even more terrifying. This is just the beginning, the Emperor said as he shook his head. Rumble. The boundless sword energy enveloped the 300 people. However, the 300 people were surrounded by 3,000 illusions. For a moment, the sword mound was filled with blood. Even though there were Middle Void Realm experts among the 300 people, every step was difficult. Facing 10 perfect versions of himself, this was more than just a trial. Looking at the scene before him, the Dugu Sword Emperor revealed a trace of bitterness and said, "It seems that it is impossible to obtain the position of the Patriarch." Not necessarily. Yin Chuan's expression changed. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. 8 hours later, south of the Dugu residence, Huaguang and Feng Yinyang's encampment. Your Majesty. Huaguang looked at Yin Chuan respectfully. Yin Wudi and the Dugu Sword Emperor looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. The Emperor stood at the side. Huaguang, this is none of your business. Continue to encampment. Yin Chuan said to Huaguang. Yes. Taoist Yin, why did you bring us here? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked in confusion. I see. The Emperor sighed slightly. Yin Wudi looked at the huge volcano in front of him, and his expression suddenly changed. Father, you said earlier that the swords in the sword tomb were all forged by the Patriarch using earth fire? That's right. There's a volcano in the depths of the sword catacomb. The family head lives in the sword catacomb all year round, and he uses the fire from the volcano to forge. The Dugu Sword Emperor stopped abruptly. He turned to look at the volcano in front of him. Yin Chuan, could it be that this volcano? The Dugu Sword Emperor widened his eyes in disbelief. Yin Chuan nodded. That's right. I've been to the bottom of this volcano before. Deep underground, there's a huge space called the Solitary Volcano Domain. There are countless volcanoes here. I'm sure that the bottom of many volcanoes are connected. Let's go. Perhaps this volcano just happens to be connected to the depths of the sword catacomb. The Dugu Sword Emperor's expression was extremely interesting. Isn't this too fake? The Dugu Sword Emperor only had this thought in his mind. Regardless of the Dugu Sword Emperor's mood, the 4 of them still flew towards the volcano. Boom! The 4 of them each raised a wall of air to protect themselves as they descended into the depths of the volcano. Yin Chuan had been to this volcano before, so he was quite familiar with it. It didn't take long for them to reach the bottom of the volcano. At a glance, there was a sea of fire. It was impossible to see north, south, east, and west. Follow me. When we came, I remembered the route and the distance. I hope I didn't remember it wrongly. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Oh, okay. The Dugu Sword Emperor said blankly. Following Yin Chuan, the group quickly descended into the depths of the volcano. Yin Wudi's cultivation was quite weak, so he couldn't hold on for much longer. The emperor waved his hand and blocked the fire for Yin Wuti. The group followed the original path and returned. Just as Yin Chuan had guessed, this area was completely connected to the Sea of Fire. 10 hours later. Where are we? The Dugu Sword Emperor asked curiously. We should be in the depths of your Dugu family. Below us is the entrance to the Sword Catacomb. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Careful! The emperor slashed with his saber. Boom! Within the Sea of Fire, there was a violent collision. A sword-shaped flame was shattered by the emperor's saber. Patriarch's sword domain. It even covers the bottom of the volcano. The Dugu Sword Emperor said in surprise. Chapter 770. The Dugu Sword Emperor's remorse. The emperor slashed at one of the swords. You don't have to look for the sword mound anymore. Yin Chuan smiled. Yin Chuan took the lead and flew towards the direction where the swords came from. Shing! Shing! 2 more swords were shot at them. Before he even reached Yin Chuan, a series of cracking sounds could be heard. The magma around Yin Chuan instantly solidified. Even the swords were sealed in it. This is... The Dugu Sword Emperor was surprised. Huh! The underground was too hot. In the blink of an eye, the solidified rocks turned into magma again. However, there were no more swords in the magma. It's just sword chi and sword intent. There are no real swords. Just follow me. Yin Chuan said. Yes, Yin Wuti said excitedly. The emperor frowned and looked at Yin Chuan. The emperor felt that Yin Chuan's body seemed to have absorbed a huge amount of heat in that instant. He didn't absorb it, but seized it. It was a domineering seizure. They were in the depths of the volcano. It was unrealistic to solidify magma here. However, Yin Chuan was solidified. The emperor could even feel the coldness from Yin Chuan's body, even from a distance. The emperor looked at Yin Chuan again. The group quickly flew towards the place where the swords were gathered. Yin Chuan was like a freezer. Wherever he went, the magma would solidify instantly. The swords would also solidify instantly. The journey was smooth. Soon, they arrived at the entrance. At this point, there were even more sword edges. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to gain any advantage at all. However, Yin Chuan was different. The thunderclouds in the sky could absorb boundless amounts of heat. This path seemed to be tailor-made for Yin Chuan. Phew! The group flew upwards. After passing through a long volcanic tunnel, they finally arrived at the mouth of the volcano. Bang! The 4 of them flew out of the magma. However, there was no more sword chi around them. This is too smooth. The Dugu Sword Emperor was speechless. This made the Dugu Sword Emperor feel very unrealistic. How is this possible? The group flew out of the volcano and stood at the top of it, looking around. Looking around, there were divine swords everywhere. Divine swords were flying in the sky, while the ground was filled with divine realm swords. Only the crater in the center of the volcano had hundreds of flowers blooming, and there was no danger to speak of. Father, look, there's a hall over there, isn't it? Yin Wuti Zest said with excitement. There was indeed a palace not far away. There was a palace hall inns. Not in was. There was a plaque on hall. Heaven, palace hall. Palace hall? Hall? Have we really arrived at the residence of the patriarch? Dugu Jianwang was stupefied. This is... Father, let's go. Yin Wuti said excitedly. Oh, okay. The Dugu Sword Emperor felt like he was dreaming as he nodded. The group flew towards the palace hall. Happiness came too suddenly. Dugu Jianwang was still dizzy. Could it be that he had become the next patriarch in such a muddle-headed manner? Just as the group flew towards the palace hall, a heart-wrenching voice suddenly sounded. Dugu Sword Emperor. The voice was filled with endless grief and indignation. It was a kind of great grief that hated the heavens and earth. The Dugu Sword Emperor's nerves tightened when he heard the voice. Everyone turned their heads and looked over. At the edge of the sword tomb's inner circle, there was a dazzling purple divine sword. The divine sword was 10 zhang long, and it looked down at the battlefield inside the sword tomb. Chapter 771. On the battlefield, 50 experts struggled while bathed in blood. They were surrounded by countless purple longswords. These 50 experts were Dugu Tianji, Dugu Tianya, and the others. The giant sword flashed, and a group of longswords rushed toward an emptiness realm expert like a rainstorm. Boom! The godly swords roared. Under the rain of swords, an emptiness realm expert was cut in half. Another emptiness realm expert fell into a pool of blood. Dugu Tianya and the other emptiness realm experts struggled bitterly. Almost everyone was covered in blood. Almost a day had passed. Out of the 300 emptiness realm experts, only 40 or so were left. The others were all buried in the sword tomb. Pushing forward step by step, the Nine Swords mountain range displayed its majestic power. Finally, it had reached the final step. However, the last step was like a gift from heaven. They couldn't cross it no matter how hard they tried. The giant sword was like a god. It blocked everyone's path and killed them one by one. Although the experts were filled with hatred and sorrow, victory was in sight. Although many people had died, victory was in sight. Although they couldn't break through the giant sword, victory was in sight. Dugu Tianya didn't feel anything until he saw Yin Chuan and the other three. At this moment, the members of the Nine Swords mountain range all showed expressions of hatred. How is this possible? How is this possible? Dugu Tianya was filled with sorrow and hatred. All the experts who were bathed in blood and fighting showed expressions of despair. 2 lower emptiness realm experts, 1 divine realm expert, and 1 chi realm expert. They don't have any injuries on their bodies. How is this possible? How is this possible? Dugu Tianya was filled with sorrow and hatred. In order to enter the center, everyone had sacrificed too much. However, in the end, they realized that the Dugu, Sword Emperor, who looked down on them, was ahead of them. God was unfair. God was unfair. Everyone was shouting in their hearts. It was difficult to get rid of the depression. Everyone's lungs were hurt by this depression. Boom! The giant sword flashed again. Another round of explosion occurred and charged toward an emptiness realm expert. With just a scream, the emptiness realm expert was instantly cut into pieces. Let's hurry to the heaven-mending palace. Yin Chuan frowned and shouted. Yin Chuan didn't want to cause any trouble at this time. It was time to harvest the fruit. There was no room for hesitation. However, the Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't bear to see this happen. Dugu Sword Emperor, quick, save us, save us. Cut that giant sword apart. Dugu Tianya shouted. The Dugu clan is of the same breath and branch. Save us. Dugu Sword Emperor, you can't leave us to die. Dugu Sword Emperor, cut that sword apart. Dugu Sword Emperor, you are the patriarch. We no longer have any thoughts of fighting for the patriarch's position. We only wish to preserve our lives. Dugu Sword Emperor, you will be the head of the family from now on. We are all members of the Dugu family. Save us. Everyone roared together. The Dugu Sword Emperor couldn't bear to see this happen. When Yin Chuan saw this, he immediately felt that something was wrong. Dugu Sword Emperor, go and see Dugu Butian first. After that, come and save them. Yin Chuan shouted. That's right, father. Yin Wudi also shouted. Boom! Another emptiness realm expert was cut into pieces by the giant sword. Father, Yin Wudi shouted. No, I can't just sit and watch. They are still members of the Dugu clan. The Dugu Sword Emperor shook his head and said, boom! Another emptiness realm expert was cut into pieces. Chapter 772. The Dugu Sword Emperor immediately rushed over. Seeing that the Dugu Sword Emperor had come to save them, everyone's face lit up. Looking at this scene, Yin Chuan could only feel anxious and helpless. After all, he was still an outsider and couldn't persuade them. Slash! The Dugu Sword Emperor slashed at the Tinzhonglong giant sword. Boom! The Tinzhonglong giant sword was instantly sent flying by the Dugu Sword Emperor, and the giant sword-killing formation was immediately dispelled. Boom! The sword formation surrounding Dugu Tianya and the others instantly became much smaller. The pressure instantly disappeared. Dugu Tianya, who was nearby, instantly charged through the sword mount. Ha ha ha! Dugu Tianya excitedly shot into the safe zone. Dugu Tianya! The Dugu Sword Emperor had just shouted. However, he received Dugu Tianya's malevolent gaze and a domineering sword. Bastard! In the distance, Yin Chuan's expression changed, and the Jade Emperor's sword flew out. Chi! Dugu Tianya's sword was too fast. It was so fast that it instantly slashed into the Dugu Sword Emperor's shoulder. Furthermore, the sword slashed from the hilt to the abdomen. It looked like the Dugu Sword Emperor would be cut in half. Ding! The Jade Emperor's sword knocked Dugu Tianya's sword back. The Dugu Sword Emperor's body was also sent flying. While flying in the air, the Dugu Sword Emperor widened his eyes. His face was filled with disbelief and boundless regret. The Dugu Sword Emperor was almost cut in half. He spat out blood as he shouted hatefully. Father! Yin Wudi rushed over in panic. Bang! Yin Wudi hugged the Dugu Sword Emperor. Father, father! Yin Wudi couldn't help but jiaohu. His eyes were red. Why? Why? The Dugu Sword Emperor looked at Dugu Tianya and spat out blood in despair. He had saved him. How could he do this? Dugu Tianya merely sneered at the Dugu Sword Emperor. He turned to look at the Jade Emperor's sword that was blocking him. Middle void stage? Yin Chuan frowned as he looked at Dugu Tianya. Boom! At the sword tomb, another loud sound rang out. Dugu Tianji barged in with a loud bang. Dugu Tianji, the hall master of the Nine Swords Temple, looked at the dying Dugu Sword Emperor in Yin Wudi's arms and said indifferently, Dugu Tianya, well done. Yes, Dugu Tianya said smilingly. You puffed. The Dugu Sword Emperor, who was already heavily injured, spat out another mouthful of blood. Dugu Tianji landed and immediately looked at the distant Heaven Mending Hall. Heaven Mending Palace? Huh. Dugu Tianji's eyes flashed with excitement. Let's go. Dugu Tianji shouted. Dugu Tianji and Dugu Tianya instantly shot towards the Heaven Mending Palace. Buzz! Two figures instantly blocked the two of them. Yin Chuan and the Emperor. Get lost, Dugu Tianji said coldly. Emperor, use all your strength. You and I one each, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Use all my strength? Umph. The Emperor sneered. He waved the bronze long saber in his hand, and a fierce saber aura ruthlessly slashed towards Dugu Tianji. Emperor, you're only at the lower void stage. You can't beat me. You couldn't beat me last time. This time, I have broken through. You can't beat me even more. Dugu Tianji stabbed with a long sword in his hand. Boom! The saber and sword collided. Jade Emperor's sword formation. To deal with Dugu Tianya, Yin Chuan quickly formed a sword formation and instantly enveloped Dugu Tianya. Jumping clown. You want to block my way? Tianya sword formation. Dugu Tianya coldly snorted from within the formation. Boom! Dugu Tianya quickly formed a sword formation with the sword in his hand and faced Dugu Tianji with the formation. The four experts brazenly made their moves. The others were still fighting in the sword tomb. However, the pressure was much less now. They should be able to come out soon. Father, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. Yin Wudi unceasingly poured his magic power into the Dugu Sword Emperor's body. However, the Dugu Sword Emperor was almost cut in half. Dugu Tianya's sword had destroyed his foundation. How could he recover so easily? The Dugu Sword Emperor said bitterly, My son, I brought this upon myself. I have let you down. Chapter 773. The Jade Emperor's sword array condensed a sword chi storm that spun clockwise. Within the Jade Emperor's sword formation, Dugu Tianya's sword formation was rotating counterclockwise. The two sword formations in opposite directions spun rapidly and collided with each other. Rumble! It was as if two gears were colliding in reverse. Sword array? How is it possible for you? You just deity realm. How can you stop me? Dugu Tianya said, in surprise. Within the Jade Emperor's sword formation, Yin Chuan looked coldly at Dugu Tianya. Nothing is absolute in this world. Dugu Tianya, are you not a member of the Dugu family? Yin Chuan coldly asked. His nephew had said that the Nine Swords Hall was hostile to the other halls. Furthermore, Dugu Tianya had ignored the Dugu Sword Emperor's kindness of saving his life and killed him without hesitation. This made Yin Chuan a little suspicious. Of course, it was only a suspicion. After all, it was not impossible for a family to produce a group of scum. Therefore, Yin Chuan asked, are you not a member of the Dugu family? It could be understood that Yin Chuan doubted Dugu Tianya's identity. Similarly, it could also be understood as saying that Dugu Tianya was inhumane and didn't care about blood ties. It all depended on how the other party understood it. Hearing Yin Chuan's words, Dugu Tianya's expression changed. How did you know? Dugu Tianya asked in a slightly panicked manner. Yin Chuan was slightly stunned, but he hid it extremely well. Was this Dugu Tianya really not a member of the Dugu clan? How would I know? How do you think I know? Otherwise, how do you think we arrived at the depths of the sword tomb without a scratch? Yin Chuan said in a cold voice. Yin Chuan did not say why, but he gave Dugu Tianya a psychological hint. That's right, they had risked their lives to get here, but Yin Chuan and his group of weaklings had come in unscathed? Conspiracy. It was a huge conspiracy. Dugu Tianya, who had a guilty conscience, used Yin Chuan as an excuse. It's Dugu Butian. Did Dugu Butian discover it? He knows? Dugu Tianya's expression greatly changed. Of course he knows. What do you think? Yin Chuan said. The more Dugu Tianya was confused, the more Dugu Tianya was the Dugu Tianya, was Dugu Tianya, was Dugu Tianya even more. No, we did it very covertly. How could it have been leaked? How is that possible? Dugu Tianya said with grief and hatred. The purpose of the sword tomb is to catch all of you in one fell swoop. Most of the people in front are already dead. Do you still want to struggle? You have no chance. Yin Chuan said coldly. Dugu Butian, you can't kill us. You can't. The main clan is in decline. It's useless to hide. Forget about clan Lord Dugu Butian. Even our sword division master could wipe you out. Dugu Butian, did you hear what I just said? Our sect master is stationed outside this world. You can't kill me. Otherwise, none of the Dugu sect's disciples here can think about living. Dugu Tianya roared at the sky, as if he wanted to shout for Dugu Butian to hear. Hearing Dugu Tianya's words, Yin Chuan opened his mouth and was stunned. Did this person go stupid from practicing the sword? So easy to deceive? Main sect? Split up? It looked like this group of people were also Dugu sect's disciples. However, they were one of the Nine Sword sect's Dugu Potion's subordinates in the Immortal world. Dugu Tianya, do you think that after busying yourself for half a day, everything was for nothing? What you can't get isn't what you can touch. Yin Chuan berated. What you can touch isn't what you can touch. Yin Chuan naturally did not know what they wanted to touch, but it did not hinder Yin Chuan from tricking him. Chapter 774. Dugu Tianya was indeed cooperative. The main family's secret? That's right, Dugu Butian has boundless arrogance and doesn't need to be understood. However, our Nine-Sword Mountain range is different. Dugu Butian, what's the point of you guarding the main family's secret? The main family has completely declined, and only you are left holding on. How long can you hold on? Dugu Tianya shouted to the sky. The main family secret? Yin Chuan asked again. This Dugu Tianya had indeed cultivated until he became stupid. Dugu Tianya, don't be delusional. The main family's things are the main family's. It will never be your branch family's turn to steal. Although the main family is weak, it is still the main family. Your branch family, including Dugu Butian, is just a dog of the main family. How can a dog dare to attack its master? Yin Chuan said coldly. Dog? Ha ha ha, you're the dogs. Do you know those immortals of your main family who ascended? Now that they are in the immortal world, they're also like dogs in our branch family. Tell us everything about this world. Otherwise, how do you think we can find you? Dugu Tianya said angrily. It turned out that the descendant of the Dugu family who had ascended in the past had leaked Dugu Butian's whereabouts. Yin Chuan gradually sorted out the situation and also found that this Dugu Tianya in front of him was too cute. Yin Chuan kept pressuring, threatening, and tricking Dugu Tianya. Dugu Tianya was also extremely cooperative and spilled all his secrets. From the first time he met Dugu Tianya, Yin Chuan knew that this person was definitely wholeheartedly focused on cultivation and had too little understanding of the sinister hearts of people. Otherwise, with his identity as a spy, why would he make enemies everywhere? Not only did he berate the emperor, but he also berated himself, mocked the Dugu Sword Emperor, and ostracized Yin Wudi. Was this the awareness of a spy? Yin Chuan kept trying to get information from Dugu Tianya. On the other side, the emperor's surroundings were filled with saber chi, blocking in front of Dugu Tianji. The emperor was only at the lower void stage, but in front of the middle void stage Dugu Tianji, he was not weak at all. Boom! The two collided. Hearing Yin Chuan's interrogation of Dugu Tianya below, Dugu Tianji's expression was extremely ugly. Idiot, idiot! Dugu Tianya, you idiot! Shut up! Dugu Tianji's eyes were filled with hatred. This Dugu Tianya actually said, "Everything? Idiot!" Whoosh! The long sword was about to slash towards Yin Chuan's Jade Emperor sword array. Clang! Dugu Tianji once again blocking in front of Dugu Tianji. Tianji, Dugu Tianji's S, right? As the sword and saber clashed, the emperor's eyes turned cold as he said, "The one who should get lost is you, Dugu Tianji. We didn't decide the victor last time, so let's do it again this time." Whoosh! Dragging the long saber, Dugu Tianji was immediately jolted away. T-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H-H. S-T. If not to sharpen my saber technique, you would have died countless times. The emperor's eyes turned cold as he waved the saber in his hand. Behind the emperor, 100-foot giant peak suddenly rushed out. The blade-shaped giant peak carried a powerful saber intent and pressed towards Dugu Tianji. Boom! The two peerless powerhouses fought again. On the other side, Yin Wudi hugged the Dugu Sword Emperor. "Father, you'll be fine. We don't want the position of family head anymore. Let's go back," Yin Wudi said with bloodshot eyes. His hand was constantly covering the Dugu Sword Emperor's wound. The blood could be stopped, but the essence energy was constantly leaking out. Chapter 775. The Dugu Sword Emperor looked at Yin Wudi with a hint of bitterness in his eyes. "Wudi, it's all Father's fault. Ha ha! Father can't take it anymore. Father can't leave you anything. Once Father leaves, you will definitely be ostracized by the other 8 palaces. Ha ha!" The Dugu Sword Emperor was extremely weak. "Father, don't speak. Your essence will leak even faster." Yin Wudi anxiously said, "Die? I'm not afraid. I can go see your master's wife. Remember, after I die, bury me with your master's wife." Cough, cough. The Dugu Sword Emperor coughed out blood. "Father, you'll be fine." Yin Wudi sobbed. Looking at Yin Wudi, the Dugu Sword Emperor suddenly revealed a desolate smile. He extended his right hand, and a white light suddenly appeared. Buzz! An inch-long sword shadow suddenly appeared in his palm. "This is the proof of my 3 swords palace, Dugu Jian." The Dugu Sword Emperor looked at the inch-long sword shadow in his palm. Facing the shadow, the Dugu Sword Emperor solemnly said, "Dugu Jian, listen well. In the name of the 3 Swords Palace Master, I formally swear that I am willing to pass down the 3 Swords Mountain Range to my son, Wudi Dugu, of my own free will. Heaven and earth are my witnesses." Buzz! The shadow of the Dugu sword suddenly blossomed with a dazzling radiance. The Dugu Sword Emperor patted the shadow of light on Yin Wudi's forehead. Swish! The Dugu sword immediately entered Yin Wudi's body. Boom! Sword energy suddenly shot out from Yin Wudi's body in all directions. "Father? Wudi, listen well. From now on, you are the palace master of the 3 Swords Palace. You can inherit the Patriarch's position. With this proof, the Patriarch will definitely approve of you. What father can help you with is only this much. Dugu Jian Wang said with a bitter smile. Remember, bury me with your master's wife. After the Dugu Sword Emperor finished his last sentence, his hand went limp and there was no more sound. Father! Yin Wudi looked up to the sky and howled in grief. As Yin Wudi hugged the Dugu Sword Emperor and cried, another figure quietly broke through the tomb and stepped into the central safe zone. It was a man with red hair. The man's eyes were extremely cold, but his body was the cleanest. If one looked carefully, one would notice that Dugu Tianya and Dugu Tianji, the two middle void stage experts, more or less had sword wounds on their bodies when they were in the sword tomb. However, the man with red hair on his temples was covered in snow and didn't have the slightest injury. The man looked at the Dugu Sword Emperor. Yin Wudi hugged the Dugu Sword Emperor's corpse and wailed loudly. The man revealed a look of disdain. This was because Yin Wudi was only at the peak of the Qi Jing level. The man was more concerned about the other two battlefields, Yin Chuan's Jade Emperor's sword formation and the battle between Emperor and Dugu Tianji. Looking at the two battlefields, the man squinted his eyes and analyzed which one he should help first. Suddenly, the man's expression changed, and he looked at the Jade Emperor's sword formation again. At that moment, Yin Chuan suddenly turned around and noticed the man. Damn! Yin Chuan's expression changed. The man was the same. If he was discovered, the effect of his sneak attack would be greatly reduced. Without any hesitation, the man spun the long sword in his hand and rushed up to the sky. He turned into a ray of light and stabbed the Emperor from his back. It was too fast. It was so fast that it could pierce through the Emperor's body in an instant. Whoosh! Another middle void stage expert? Moreover, he is even stronger than Dugu Tianji? Yin Chuan's expression changed. He had already reached his limit by blocking Dugu Tianya. This man is even stronger than Dugu Tianji? I can't stop him. Once the Emperor is severely injured, 3 middle void stage experts will gang up on me. Won't that be the end? Chapter 776. Yin Chuan didn't use his full strength against Dugu Tianya. After all, he still had the God Sword. However, Yin Chuan knew that even if he used his full strength, he would suffer great losses. Moreover, killing Dugu Tianya wasn't something that could be done in a short period of time. Therefore, Yin Chuan chose to talk to the Emperor. However, Yin Chuan could see that the Emperor didn't use his full strength either. Of course, it seemed like an emptiness realm expert below the Emperor's level was the limit of a middle emptiness realm expert. However, Yin Chuan knew from the Emperor's eyes that the Emperor still had something to rely on. The Emperor was sharpening his sword. If the Emperor was successfully ambushed, his team would be wiped out. Boom! Yin Chuan stomped his foot and charged into the sky with the God Sword in his hand. The Jade Emperor's sword quickly withdrew and flew toward Yin Chuan to protect Yin Chuan. Blue sky thundercloud absorbed. Yin Chuan roared. Boom! Suddenly, frost appeared all around. Yin Chuan quickly blocked the man who ambushed the Emperor with the God Sword. Boom! The God Sword shot out, but it was nothing in front of the man. How could the Immortal Realm's sword and the Middle Emptiness Realm's sword compare? Yin Chuan could see that the man was stronger than Dugu Tianji. Yin Chuan's sword was mixed with endless cold air. Frost instantly rushed toward the man opposite him. The sword chi in the surroundings was instantly frozen, but the sword chi was only covered with frost. The Middle Emptiness Realm expert was too strong. Yin Chuan's cultivation in this life was too shackled. Therefore, he couldn't use his skills even if he had boundless strength. Yin Chuan's body was like an iceberg that enveloped Yin Chuan's body. Boom! More than half of the iceberg exploded, and the sword chi pierced through Yin Chuan's left chest. Yin Chuan was sent flying, and a large amount of ice shattered. Bang! Yin Chuan bumped into the Emperor, who had turned his head around. Yin Chuan, the Emperor asked in surprise. Yin Chuan's chest was pierced through, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. He bitterly said, I asked you to go all out, and you still have the time to sharpen your blade? Bang! 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 Dugu Tianya, Dugu Tianji and the middle void stage martial artist who had severely injured Yin Chuan all surrounded him. Yin Chuan's chest was pierced through. Clearly, he no longer had the strength to continue fighting. 3 middle void stage martial artists against 1 war emperor. Dugu Tianji, why are you so slow? The white-clothed man coldly asked. The emperor's strength has increased again, Dugu Tianji said respectfully. The emperor looked at the hole in Yin Chuan's chest, and his eyes instantly turned red. This sword was originally aimed at him. At that time, he was dealing with Dugu Tianji and had no time to block it. Was it Yin Chuan who saved him? So sorry, the emperor said with a complicated look in his eyes. Why aren't you attacking? Don't worry about me. I won't die yet. Yin Chuan shouted. Attack? You can't even defeat me, and now there are 3 middle void stage martial artists. Emperor, let's see how you're going to escape. Dugu Tianji said coldly. The emperor's eyes were bloodshot, and his face twitched. For a moment, a vicious aura shot out. Roar! The emperor suddenly raised his head and roared. A surge of vicious aura exploded. The vicious aura shot out, blowing in all directions like a storm. The emperor's face became more and more malevolent, and suddenly changed shape. It was as if his skin had melted, revealing his dark red muscles. His skin melted, and the emperor turned into a flesh and blood devil. Bang! A pair of flesh wings suddenly appeared on his back. The flesh wings were also badly mutilated as if they were skinned. Chapter 777. The teeth in his mouth also turned into saw teeth, and the emperor's body suddenly expanded. Ka. In the blink of an eye, he turned into a 10 meters tall monster with no skin all over his body. His head was ferocious, his eyes were as big as copper bells, his mouth was like saw teeth, and his back had fleshy wings. It was like a demon's fantasy world. The long saber in his hand turned, and a terrifying killing wind blew out in all directions. The wind took the shape of a saber and blew in all directions, drawing huge saber grooves on the ground. What's going on? Dugu Tianji was stunned by this scene. The small and exquisite emperor just now had turned into a 10 meters tall monster in the blink of an eye. This form was too valiant. Gently putting down Yin Chuan, the emperor suddenly looked at the man who attacked him sneakily just now. The long saber in his hand turned and was about to slash. So what if you've turned into a monster? You scare me, go to hell. Dugu Tianji quickly slashed with his sword. Whoosh! Fast, so fast that it was inconceivable. In the blink of an eye, the emperor had already appeared behind Dugu Tianji. With his back to his back, Dugu Tianji immediately felt that something was wrong, but it was already too late. Boom! Only his saber light could be seen, and Dugu Tianji was cut in half at the waist. It was too fast, so fast that no one had time to react. The other 2 middle void stage experts also looked at the monster in front of them with incomparable astonishment. That speed? Whoosh! The monster turned its head and looked at Dugu Tianji and the other man. The faces of the 2 twitched. Even if Dugu Tianji was the weakest among the 3, he was still a middle void stage expert. Killing him with 1 slash? Attack together! The man suddenly shouted. Roar! The monster roared. Whoosh! It was so fast that only an afterimage was left behind, and it instantly appeared behind the man. The man's entire body also trembled. Was it the same scene? The man quickly fled in horror. Boom! He was still a bit too slow. One of his arms was instantly cut off. The man cried out in pain. This wasn't a battle. This was a one-sided massacre. The emperor transformed into a monster, and his killing intent soared into the sky. The 2 middle void stage experts couldn't see his saber technique and figure clearly. If this continued, they would definitely be finished. What kind of monster is this? Dugu Tianji roared in shock. Who? The monster once again appeared behind Dugu Tianji, and with a backhand slash, it slashed again. No! Dugu Tianji was indescribably terrified. His long sword was placed behind his back, and his body was even more terrified as he fled forward. Boom! Dugu Tianji once again charged into the sword tomb. At this moment, Dugu Tianji would rather face the sword tomb than the monster. This monster was too terrifying. The monster turned its head to look at the one-armed man. The man was horrified and instantly charged into the sword catacomb. Roar! The monster roared, dragging the long saber on the ground. The monster followed step by step into the sword mound. Boom! 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 Within the sword mound, thousands of divine swords shot out. The monster's eyes turned cold, and he swung his long saber. Boom! The divine sword exploded with a loud bang, and the monster raised his saber and quickly attacked everyone. Boom! Wherever the blade passed, a head flew out. With one slash, a sword cultivator fell. It was as if they were harvesting straws. It was too valiant. In front of the monster, the terrifying sword catacomb was like an uninhabited land. Not far away, Yin Chuan looked at this scene in astonishment. This? Transformation? Blade Demon? This is the real Blade Demon? Not bad. Since the Yin family has the bloodline superpower, the Emperor must have it too. What a powerful Blade Demon. Uncle Chuan, are you okay? Yin Wudi also rushed over. I'm fine. When the sword stabbed over, I froze all of the raging sword energy. It only pierced through my right lung and a few bones. I'm fine. Yin Chuan shook his head. Indeed, although Yin Chuan's chest was pierced through, there was a layer of frost around the wound, and he didn't bleed. Crackle! Suddenly, a large amount of fine lightning appeared around the wound. The lightning flashed and stimulated Yin Chuan's body. Tender flesh that could be seen with the naked eye grew rapidly. In the blink of an eye, the wound was filled with new flesh. He looked fine on the outside. Yin Chuan also closed his eyes and adjusted his breathing. He stimulated the growth of his internal organs and quickly recovered from his injuries. On the other side, the monster was too ferocious. It moved freely in the sword catacomb and quickly killed the Emptiness Realm experts. Dugu Tianji and the one-armed man couldn't escape. They were facing a monster that was filled with hatred and anger. They didn't hold back at all. Kill! 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 Yin Wudi looked at the monster in the distance with mixed feelings. Although the sword catacomb was powerful, it couldn't stop the Emperor and Uncle Chuan. Uncle Chuan used his wisdom, and the Emperor used his brute force. Both of them could safely break the array. After killing everyone, the monster walked back. Slowly, the monster's body changed and turned back into the Emperor's original appearance. However, the Emperor's eyes were slightly weak. Obviously, transforming into a monster had exhausted the Emperor. The Emperor's clothes could change size. Obviously, it was a good treasure. The Emperor walked over, and Yin Chuan opened his eyes at the right time. Looking at the new flesh on Yin Chuan's chest, a complicated expression flashed across the Emperor's eyes. Finally, he took a deep breath and said, "Thank you. I'm fine," Yin Chuan said with a smile. The Emperor bit his lips and nodded solemnly. The Emperor didn't like to talk, but he wouldn't forget this kindness. "Uncle Chuan, my father." Yin Wudi's eyes turned red again. Looking at the Dugu Sword Emperor's corpse not far away, Yin Chuan sighed slightly. "Let's collect the Dugu Sword Emperor's corpse." Yin Chuan sighed slightly. Okay, there were 4 people, but now there were only 3 left. After knowing that Yin Wudi had inherited the 3 Swords vein, Yin Chuan was determined to continue to the Heaven Mending Palace. The Emperor also had something to ask Dugu Mending Tian. The 3 of them slowly walked to the Heaven Mending Palace. Heaven Mending Palace. From the outside, the Heaven Mending Palace was incomparably simple. There was no sense of glory, but the main hall was embedded in the mountain. The main door was even made of wood. The 3 Swords Palace Master, Dugu Wudi, requests an audience with the Patriarch. Yin Wudi respectfully called out. The main hall was silent. There was no reply. The 3 of them raised their eyebrows. The 3 Swords Vein Master, Dugu Wudi, requests an audience with the Patriarch through the Sword Tomb. Yin Wudi shouted again. The main hall was still silent. Yin Wudi looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan lightly nodded. After receiving Yin Chuan's affirmation, Yin Wudi stepped forward. He walked to the wooden door and said again. Dugu Wudi entered uninvited. "Please forgive me, Patriarch." After speaking, Yin Wudi stretched out his hand and pushed the wooden door. There was no resistance. The wooden door was easily pushed open. Yin Chuan outside the door was on guard. He looked into the main hall with a puzzled expression. The door was gradually pushed open until it was completely open. The three of them stood at the door and looked into the main hall. Their expressions changed almost at the same time. Chapter 778. Heavenmender Palace. Before entering the palace, everyone had a strong fantasy. Dugu Butian was the #1 person in the world 20,000 years ago. Even the Dugu family's descendants, except for those with average aptitude who ascended, all the talented disciples entered the Heavenmender Palace upon reaching the upper void realm. In everyone's heart, this place should be a holy land for sword cultivators. However, the moment the door was pushed open, the holy land of sword cultivators in the eyes of the three was not the case at all. "This is," Yin Wudi said in surprise. The center of the palace was incomparably bright. It was not a luminous pearl, but a white longsword that hung in the center of the palace. The white longsword emitted a gentle white light that illuminated the center of the palace. At the center of the palace, 1,000 figures were sitting. All of them wore white robes and surrounded a figure in the center. The 1,000 figures were not living people, but extremely thin corpses. All of them had snow-white hair and were exhausted of energy. Even though the corpses no longer had any vitality, their eyes were still shining with determination. Beside each of the corpses, there was a long sword stabbed into the ground. Is that the myriad nether sword? The previous palace master of the Three Swords Palace? An upper void realm expert who was recruited by the family head 50 years ago? Yin Wudi said in surprise as he pointed at one of the exhausted corpses. That is the world calamity sword. That is the heart extinguishing sword. That is, Yin Wudi said continuously. Each of the swords was a legend of the Dugu family in the past. Beside each of the divine swords, there were only corpses left. Everyone is dead? Everyone is withered? How can this be? Yin Wudi said in surprise. The 1,000 corpses surrounded a white-robed old man in the center. That white-robed old man was the same. His body was so thin that only bones were left. His hair was dry and white, and his fingers were like branches. His withered hands were clenched together and placed in front of his chest. Looking from afar, there was no trace of life. They were like corpses. However, this old man's eyes were closed. Is that Dugu Butian? Yin Chuan asked the emperor. The emperor shook his head and said, I don't know. Dugu Butian was not like this in the past. His energy, profound qi, and even his soul were completely exhausted. What happened? Yin Wudi looked at the scene in surprise. 1,000 corpses? Heavenmender Palace? The Dugu family's various palaces continuously entered the Sword Tomb in order to enter the Heaven-Mending Palace and obtain the Patriarch's inheritance. However, how could the Heaven-Mending Palace be like this? Yin could not help but take a step forward. Buzz! The white longsword that hung high above the hall suddenly emitted 100 times brighter light. The light illuminated the entire hall, and a powerful sword intent rushed towards the three people outside the hall. The 9's 10 9s were the 9 nether, was 3 9 nether. Buzz, a beam of white light suddenly shot out from between Yin Wudi's brows. The white light rushed towards Bai Jian in the main hall. Instantly, Bai Jian's hostility dissipated. A sword-shaped white light appeared between Yin Wudi's eyebrows. The Dugu Jian that my father passed down to me? Could this be the proof? Yin Wudi blankly touched his forehead. The white sword hanging in the hall instantly withdrew its hostility and began to tremble rapidly. Buzz! The white sword trembled incessantly, and white light waves that could be seen with the naked eye rushed towards the old man's corpse in the center. Buzz! The old man's long hair suddenly trembled violently. Chapter 779. Then, under the gazes of the three people, the old man slowly opened his eyes. It was a pair of empty eyes. In the old man's eyes, it was as if he could see an endless abyss. He's alive. Yin Chuan frowned at the old man. You're here, the old man said in a hoarse voice. Dugawudi of the Three Swords Palace greets the patriarch. Yenwudi said respectfully. Dugawudi's daughter, Emperor, greets the patriarch of the Dugu family. Emperor stepped forward. Yinchuan greets the patriarch of the Dugu family. Yinchuan took a deep breath and said, Dugu Batian. This emaciated old man was Dugu Batian? Dugawudi? Since Dugu Jian admitted it. You're also a member of the Dugu family. Dugu family? Dugu family? Sigh. The old man sighed. Patriarch, are these the experts of the Dugu family? How could this be? How could this be? Yenwudi looked at the corpses in shock. Innate sore bones, not bad. The old man didn't answer the question. Then, he looked at Emperor. You're the daughter of the Dugu family? The old man looked at Emperor. Patriarch of the Dugu family, my father died, and I was sealed by him for thousands of years. I'm here today to ask Patriarch of the Dugu family what happened back then. Emperor said emotionally, the Dugu family is dead. Dugu Butian was slightly surprised. Dugu Butian's accident had disheartened Emperor. Dugu Butian didn't know? I've been in seclusion all this time. I don't know anything about the outside world. Ask someone else. Dugu Butian shook his head. Yes. Emperor nodded. Dugu Butian glanced at Yinchuan, and his eyes suddenly lit up. You're Yinchuan? You're the same. It seems like I'm not alone. Dugu Butian suddenly sighed. Not alone? Patriarch of the Dugu family, what did you say? I don't understand. Yin Chuan didn't understand. Butian, you're also mending the heavens. A hint of approval flashed through Dugu Butian's eyes. Mending the heavens? Yin Chuan looked confused. When did he mend the heavens? Invincible Dugu. Dugu Butian called out. Here. Yin Wudi stepped forward. Do you want to know how they died? Dugu Butian asked. Yes. Yin Wudi nodded. I and the ancestors of the Dugu clan all have one goal in mind, to mend the heavens. Dugu Butian said, mending the heavens? Yin Wudi was confused. There was a great calamity in the ancient times. The heavens died and the heavenly Tao collapsed. Goddess Jichin sacrificed herself to save the world. The calamity has only been blocked. There will be a day when it will come again. At that time, everything will be destroyed, said Dugu Butian. Yin Wudi listened carefully. Ancestor Dugu felt the calamity of the world and made a great vow. He swore to mend the heavenly Tao and fight for the vitality of the world. He changed his name to Dugu Butian. Generations of ancestors never stopped trying to achieve this goal. Unfortunately, an unfilial son, Dugu Butian, betrayed the clan and ruined my lineage. After that, I had no intention of obtaining the ancestors' legacy and continuing my unfinished business. Dugu Butian, you want to mend the collapsed heavenly Tao? The emperor said in surprise. Dugu Butian looked at Yin Wudi. Everyone thought that I would cause trouble for Dugu Butian, but how could the ancestor give me the time to do so? For peace, I brought 9 people into this world and reorganized the Dugu clan. All the talented disciples came to Heaven Mending Palace to mend the heavens with me, Dugu Butian recalled. Chapter 780. It has been 20,000 years. All the talented disciples have exhausted themselves to mend the heavens. Even I have exhausted myself, but in the end, we succeeded. Although it is only a Tao seed, as long as someone inherits it, it will germinate and strengthen the world. Dugu Butian said with pride, the Tao seed can't be inherited by those without great talent. I set up the sword tomb to test the disciples of the clan. If you have great talent, the sword tomb won't be difficult. If your cultivation is weak, the sword tomb's power will be weak. If your cultivation is strong, the sword tomb's power will be strong. Anyone below the upper void realm who can pass the sword tomb is a great talent, and I will let them inherit it. Unfortunately, it has been a year, and no one has been able to enter. Patriarch, Yin Wudi frowned. I can see that you haven't experienced the sword tomb, but you have great luck. In my opinion, luck is a type of talent. Dugu Butian said. Yes. Yin Wudi nodded. Come here, child. Dugu Butian called out. Yin Wuti walked forward and knelt before Dugu Butian. Dugu Butian looked at Yin Wuti. We were all born in a bad era. The heavens are dead. The heavenly Tao has collapsed. All life is like grass, and all life is fragile. However, this is still our world. Dugu Wuti, I'll give you the world we created. I hope that you will use your life to strengthen this Tao seed and fight for peace for all life. Dugu Butian bemoaned the state of the universe and pitted the fate of all life. Patriarch, although I don't understand what you just said, I will always remember your words. I will never forget them. Yin Wuti said, My Tao is not alone. I'm not the only one who mends the heavens. In the future, if you meet someone who has the same Tao as you, you must do your best to help them. All those who mend the heavens are the hope of our world. Dugu Butian sighed. Yes, I will remember it. Yin Wuti affirmed. Dugu Butian nodded and slowly loosened his clenched fist, revealing a 13-colored speck of light in his palm. As soon as the 13 colored specks of light appeared, they seemed to be incompatible with the surrounding light. Dugu Butian pressed the dot of light into Yin Wuti's forehead. This is a Tao seed. Right now, it is extremely weak. You must let it grow. You must let it grow strong. Only then will my Dugu world's ancestors and us die a worthy death. Dugu Butian said. As he spoke, Dugu Butian loosened his withered hand. Buzz. Yin Wuti's entire body floated in the air, emitting a soft white light. It was as if he had entered a wonderful realm. He closed his eyes and remained motionless. Yin Chuan and Emperor naturally stood aside and didn't say anything. Yin Wuti floated in the air, while Dugu Butian looked outside the gate. Disciples of the Dugu clan, all of you, come to Heaven Mending Palace. Dugu Mending Tian said in a hoarse voice. Rumble. Outside at the sword mound, the divine swords dancing in the sky all fell down. The barrier of the sword mound was completely removed. Countless disciples of the Dugu clan suddenly heard a voice. This is Patriarch's voice. Patriarch wants us to go to Heaven Mending Palace. Did I hear it wrong? Although there were many doubts, they still had to go to Heaven Mending Palace. Chapter 781. In front of the Heaven Mending Hall. As long as the Dugu family members were not outside, they were all present. More than 30,000 of them stood respectfully outside the Heaven Mending Hall. The hall masters stood at the front. Beside them were the corpses of the 9 sword halls Dugu Tianji, Dugu Tianya, and the others. The hall masters were silent. They all understood that today was the day that would decide the future of the Dugu family. Kwang. The doors of the hall opened with a loud bang. Everyone looked over, and their expressions all changed. How can this be? Everyone exclaimed. However, their respect for Dugu Butian calmed the commotion down quickly. Dugu Butian looked out of the hall. On one side stood Yin Chuan and the Emperor, and on the other side stood Yin Wuti. Yin Wuti bowed respectfully to Dugu Butian. Dugu family members, listen up, Dugu Butian said softly. Although his voice was soft, it resounded like thunder in the Dugu family. From today onwards, Dugu Wuti is the next patriarch. All of you shall listen to his orders. Dugu Butian said again. Patriarch? Next patriarch? Dugu Wuti? Yin Wuti? How can this be? The Dugu family members were all shocked. Patriarch, you can't. Dugu Wuti is not of our Dugu family's bloodline. Patriarch, Dugu Wuti's original name, is Yin Wuti. He is not a member of the Dugu family. Instantly, the hall masters cried out, letting an outsider be the patriarch? How can this be? Yin Wuti, Yin Chuan, and the Emperor did not speak. Dugu Butian looked at the people outside the hall. Did you hear what I said? Dugu Butian said indifferently. Dugu Butian emphasized again. Instantly, the hall masters' faces turned ugly. Yes, we pay our respects to the family head. The 2 sword veins immediately bowed respectfully to Yin Wuti. Since Dugu Butian had spoken, the 2 sword veins would naturally obey wholeheartedly. The other hall master's eyes flashed with unwillingness. However, in front of Dugu Butian, no one dared to act up. Yes, I will follow the orders of the family head. He bowed respectfully to Dugu Butian. Dugu Butian, Dugu Butian. Dugu Butian turned to Yin Wudi. Wudi, Dugu Butian said solemnly. Here, Yin Wudi said respectfully. I'll leave the Dugu family to you. I hope you treat them well. Dugu Butian sighed. Yin Wudi's face turned solemn. Don't worry, patriarch. The Dugu family is my family. Wudi will never do anything to harm the Dugu family. I swear, heaven and earth will be my witness. Dugu Dugu Tion lightly. Dugu Wudi were Dugu heavens were worthy than that Wudi. Dugu. As long as Wudi is alive, I will work hard for it. Yin Wudi said solemnly. Good. Dugu Butian showed a trace of relief. Give me your sword, Dugu Butian said. Yin Wudi immediately handed over the azure sword. Dugu Butian gently waved his hand. The white longsword floating in the center of the hall suddenly flew down and stopped in front of Dugu Butian. Butian, it's time to pass on your legacy. My generation didn't let you shine. I hope you can shine brightly in the next generation, Dugu Butian said with some reluctance. Whoosh! The white longsword rubbed against Dugu Butian as if it was reluctant to part with him. Fuse! Butian, you have your own mission. Dugu Butian sighed. Chapter 782. The white heaven-mending sword suddenly hummed. Countless sword cries could be heard from outside the hall as the cries reverberated. All the swords in the sword mound began humming. In fact, the swords of the 30,000 Dugu family disciples began to vibrate. Hum. The humming of swords could be heard everywhere. It was as if all the swords were worshipping the heaven-mending sword. Only 3 swords didn't tremble. Yin Wudi's azulate sword, and Yin Chuan's emperor and jade emperor swords. Under everyone's gaze, the heaven-mending sword suddenly melted into a liquid and flowed into the azulate sword. The azulate sword was changing rapidly. Its shape remained the same, but its color turned white and emitted a gentle glow. The heaven-mending sword and the azulate sword had merged. Only the white sword was left in the air. Wudi, this is the heaven-mending sword that has been passed down for generations. It has a spirit and only recognizes its master. From now on, you're the head of the Dugu family. Treat it well. Dugu Butian handed over the heaven-mending sword. Outside the hall master's eyes flashed with reluctance. This was the proof of the head of the family. Yes, Yin Wudi received it respectfully. After explaining everything, Dugu Butian looked at the 30,000 people outside the hall again. I have nothing else to give you disciples of the Dugu family. I'll leave each of you with a sword intent. I hope you can assist Dugu Wudi well and fulfill my lifelong wish. Dugu Butian sighed. 2 beams of sword light shot out from his eyes. The 2 beams of sword light turned into 4, then into 8. They rapidly expanded and shot toward everyone outside the hall. 10,000 swords shot out and instantly shot into the bodies of the Dugu family disciples. Everyone closed their eyes. Sword chi surged from their bodies as if they had comprehended a supreme technique. At this moment, Dugu Butian used up the last drop of his life. With a smile, he slowly closed his eyes and turned into a withered corpse. Head of the family, Yin Wudi immediately knelt down. Yin Wudi kowtowed 3 times to Dugu Butian's corpse. As for Yin Chuan and Emperor, they bowed respectfully to Dugu Butian. Although Dugu Butian was dead, he had deeply shocked Yin Chuan. For the world, for the people, 4 generations. Not for a lifetime, but for a breath. Such a breadth of mind. This was the first time Yin Chuan saw it. 10 days later, outside the Dugu family. When Yin Chuan was about to leave, Yin Wudi walked him out. Wudi, you can leave. Yin Chuan said. Yes, Uncle Chuan. I'm now the head of the family, but I'm worried that some people won't accept it. Looking at Yin Wudi, Yin Chuan smiled faintly. Not convinced? That's because your master isn't qualified. Wudi, this is your first step. I hope that when you come back to help me, you will not only be amazing in Sword Dao. This place, the Dugu family, is your best starting point. I believe in you. You'll handle everything well. Remember, force can't solve everything. You have to use your brain. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Uncle Chuan, don't worry, Yin Wudi said firmly. After bidding farewell to Yin Wudi, Yin Chuan set off again. The flying boat flew in the air. Yin Chuan stood at the bow of the boat. Butian? Duga Butian? Yin Chuan's mind could not calm down for a long time. Chapter 783. Atlas Studios East Divine Continent. It was a quiet forest. Heaven and Earth Yuan Chi was extremely dense around the forest. Some places were even covered in fog. This was not fog, but Heaven and Earth Yuan Chi. It was so dense that it was about to turn into liquid. It was more than 100 times denser than Yin Chuan's #1 abode in the world. There were birds and insects around. However, the strange thing was that even with such dense Heaven and Earth Yuan Chi, no animals evolved into demon beasts. The main part of this forest was a huge valley. Outside the valley, there was a huge tablet with the words Jingxi Valley written on it. Outside Jingxi Valley, there was a figure kneeling on one knee. If the experts of the East Divine Continent saw this, they would be shocked. That was because the figure kneeling on one knee was extremely famous in the East Divine Continent. Guyu, holy son of the Dajiao, holy ground. He had interacted with Yin Chuan many times and was a Middle Void Realm expert. This person was not famous for his cultivation, but his status. As the son of Mohina Dojin and the holy son of the holy ground, he had many supporters. At this moment, Guyu Holy Son was kneeling respectfully outside Jingxi Valley. Swish! Another silver light landed beside Guyu Holy Son. Greetings, Tao Lord Yu. Guyu Holy Son called out to the newcomer. The newcomer was Tao Lord Yu, who had experienced the battle with the Ghost Emperor in the South Divine Continent not long ago. Tao Lord Yu nodded to Guyu Holy Son. Then he waved his long sleeves and knelt on one knee. He faced Jingxi Valley. If Guyu Holy Son's kneeling could shock the experts of the East Divine Continent, Tao Lord Yu's kneeling was not a matter of shock. Tao Lord Yu was one of the strongest people in the world. At this moment, he was kneeling on one knee. I wish you good fortune, Holy Master. I hope I didn't disturb you. Tao Lord Yu called out to the valley respectfully. A voice sounded from Jingxi Valley. I'm watering the flowers. What's the matter? Speak. It was the voice of a woman. There was a hint of experience in her voice, and she sounded condescending. Tao Lord Yu did not feel insulted. Instead, she heaved a sigh of relief. Reporting to the Holy Lord, Yu has just returned from the Southern Divine Continent. A Ghost Emperor has appeared in the Southern Divine Continent, King Guayu. He came from the netherworld of the Immortal World, the Great Nightmare Dynasty. Tao Lord Yu recounted the entire process of this trip in detail. Impartiality. Got it. A woman's lazy voice came from Jingxi Valley. He didn't seem to care. A hint of anxiety appeared on Tao Lord Yu's face. Holy Lord, this person is King Guai. He's extremely powerful, and your subordinate is no match for him. Furthermore, his ambition is huge, and you can see it from Li Songhai's arrangements. Holy Lord, you have to be careful. Tao Lord Yu said worriedly. Defend? He's not qualified. A woman's disapproving voice came from Jingxi Valley. Tao Lord Yu blushed. Yes, Yu has embarrassed the Holy Lord. Tao Lord Yu said respectfully. Now, make a trip to the Northern Divine Continent's Celestial Mysteries sect on my behalf. The woman's voice rang out from Jingxi Valley once more. Holy Lord, please give your orders. To say that I want to practice the heaven-piercing spear and tell them that they are not allowed to deduce the mysteries of heaven during this period. The woman's voice sounded again. Yes, Tao Lord Yu felt proud. Celestial Mysteries sect? Fate cultivation sects were equivalent to the various holy grounds and were one of the top forces in the world. However, the Holy Lord could order them around with a single word. This was the #1 person in the world. I'll take my leave, Tao Lord Yu said solemnly. Go on. Tao Lord Yu retreated. Guyu Holy Son, who was kneeling at the side, looked at Jingxi Valley with admiration. Chapter 784. Yang Guyu. The woman's voice sounded again. Yes, yes. Guyu Holy Son said nervously. Years ago, I once placed a great boundary-suppressing stele in the central divine continent. I don't know who stole it, but I have calculated that the thief is near the Archaean sect's sacred grounds. I am giving you a decree. Go to the Archaean sect's sacred grounds immediately and find the thief. Execute him on the spot. Anyone who resists will have their entire family executed. Go to other sacred grounds to kill? Yes, Guyu Holy Son said excitedly. He was excited that the Holy Lord had assigned him such an important task. 2 years later, on the airship where Yin Chuan was. Your Majesty, Her Majesty has left, Huo Guang said. I know, Yin Chuan nodded. I can see that Her Majesty is very powerful. Why didn't you try to persuade her to join the court? Huo Guang asked doubtfully. She won't be willing to be under anyone. Yin Chuan shook his head. Yes, Your Majesty, I have asked around about that city. We are on the right track. We will be near the Archaean sect's sacred grounds soon. Huo Guang said. We're almost there? Yin Chuan stood up. Yin Chuan walked out of the hall into the bow of the airship. He looked into the distance. The Archaean sect's sacred grounds is right in front of us, Huo Guang said. Yin Chuan looked into the distance. There were layers upon layers of mountains that stretched as far as the eye could see. He could only see a huge city in the distance. Go to that city and find out where Meng Hongying's residence is, Yin Chuan said in a low voice. Yes. Huo Guang quickly left with a few people. The airship found a secluded valley and stopped. After half a day, Huo Guang returned. Your Majesty, Meng Hongying's residence is north. After 3 cities, you will reach it, Huo Guang said. Yes. However, Your Majesty, this subject has also heard another piece of news, Huo Guang suddenly said with a frown. Oh, a 3-legged golden crow has appeared about 100,000 kilometers to the east of U.S., Huo Guang said. 3-legged golden crow? Jin Dayu? Yin Chuan asked in surprise. Jin Dayu, the original founder of the Great Winged Heaven School, was later released by Yin Chuan in the Sea of Providence. I'm not sure, but I think it's him. That's the mouth of a volcano. Someone discovered a 3-legged golden crow rolling around in the volcano. The news spread to the nearby cities and immediately attracted the attention of the divine sect. They even sent a large number of experts to surround and annihilate it. They should be engaged in a fierce battle right now, Huo Guang said solemnly. Let's go, we'll talk as we walk. Yin Chuan immediately ordered. Yes. The flying boat took off again. Mouth of a volcano? It seems that Jin Dayu went there to treat his injuries. He didn't want to be seen by others. Did you find out who went to surround and annihilate him? Yin Chuan asked solemnly. To be precise, it should be an encirclement. Last time, Meng Hongying mentioned that there are 10 divine palaces in the divine sect. A, B, C, D, E, G, Gung, Xun, Ren, and Gui. The one who has his eyes on Jin Dayu is the son of the Gui Divine Palace's palace master, the Holy Son of Outyin. Huo Guang explained. The Holy Son of Outyin? Yin Chuan asked curiously. He gave himself that title. Huo Guang also said curiously. He gave himself that title? Yes, this person is extremely pompous. He relied on the favor of the Gui Divine Palace's palace master to abuse his power. He even called himself the Holy Son of Outyin. In fact, his cultivation is only in the immortal realm, but he's narrow-minded and vengeful. There was once someone who was dissatisfied with the behavior of the Holy Son of Outyin. After saying a few words of justice, the Holy Son of Outyin annihilated his entire family. Huo Guang said with disgust. Such a person can be the Holy Son? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Who told the Gui Divine Palace's palace master to only have one son? Huo Guang smiled bitterly. Chapter 785. It didn't take long for them to arrive at their destination. Standing on the airship, they could see flames and smoke billowing into the sky. Between the flying sand and rocks, They could see an intense battle taking place. 5 peerless experts were besieging a 3-legged golden crow. Boom! Everything in their path was in ruins. Mountains collapsed, rivers were broken, volcanoes erupted, and lava shot out in all directions. Wah! The 3-legged golden crow cried out angrily. It waved its wings, and rays of golden light shot towards the 5 experts. However, the 5 peerless experts were no weaker than it, and each of them was using all their strength to attack it. The 3-legged golden crow was already covered in wounds. Ha ha! Evil creature, you should just surrender, one of them shouted excitedly. The 3-legged golden crow twisted its body stubbornly, trying to avoid the attacks of the 5 experts. Not far away, on the peak of a mountain, stood 4 figures. Their eyes were sharp as they looked at the battlefield. In front of the 4 of them was a chair made of tiger skin. On it sat a rather handsome youth. The young man looked excited. 3-legged golden crow? Ha! The other holy son all have mounts, demon leopard, demon ox, and demon bat. My mount must be better than them. 3-legged golden crow? I can't believe there's such a monster near my holy land. Ha ha! The young man shouted excitedly. Evil creature, it's your honor to be the mount of the holy son, Aoton. Why don't you surrender? Are you hurt? If you become my mount, I'll give you the best medicine to heal your injuries. The young man shouted. The 3-legged golden crow twisted its body and looked at Aoton, holy son, angrily. You want to subdue me? Dream on. The 3-legged golden crow roared. Bastard? Who are you calling a bastard? Aoton, holy son's face suddenly turned cold. Wah! The 3-legged golden crow let out a long cry, no longer paying attention to the proud heaven holy son, and once again began a fight with the 5 people. Let me ask you, is he cursing me? The proud heaven holy son looked at the person behind him and said. The man had a strange look on his face, but he nodded and said, Holy son, it seems so. Scold me? The holy son glared at proud heaven and proud heaven. Arg, bastard, you two go capture it. I'm going to pluck its feathers and cook it tonight. The faces of the 4 people behind proud heaven holy son stiffened. Proud heaven's holy son's character is exaggerated and capricious. Just now he wanted to subdue the 3-legged golden crow, and now he wants to eat it? What are you waiting for? Proud holy son shouted. Holy son, palace master, we will protect you. The 4 of them shouted. Safe? Do I need your protection? I'm proud heaven's holy son. Who dares to hurt me? If you don't go, I'll go back and tell my father that you beat me up and forced me to keep it a secret. Proud heaven holy son shouted. 2 of them sighed bitterly, then nodded and said yes. Whoosh! The 2 of them quickly flew to the battlefield. The 3-legged golden crow was already in a difficult situation when fighting against 5 experts. Now, there were 2 more, making it 1 against 7. He was in an even more difficult situation, and the wounds on his body were increasing rapidly. Roar! The 3-legged golden crow roared in grief. In the distance, Yin Chuan, Hua Guang, and the others hid their airship in the valley, frowning as they watched. It really is Jin Dayu. Yin Chuan's face darkened. Chapter 786. Your Majesty, should we save them? Hua Guang frowned and asked worriedly. Save them? Yin Chuan said affirmatively. But those people are all at the middle void stage. Do you want to wake Feng Yinyang up? He's been in seclusion for a long time. Hua Guang asked. No need. Feng Yinyang rarely goes into seclusion. Don't disturb him. Yin Chuan shook his head. Yin Chuan looked at Aoton's holy son. Hua Guang instantly understood Yin Chuan's meaning. Your Majesty, to catch the bandits. First catch the ringleader. Hua Guang's expression changed. That's right. This is Aoton's holy son? Ha! He's really spoiled. Yin Chuan revealed a strange smile. Your Majesty, this is the divine sect's holy land. This Aoton's holy son seems to be too spoiled. 9 middle void stage martial artists to protect him? That's too exaggerated. Isn't it too unworthy to deal with him? Moreover, isn't it too risky? Hua Guang said worriedly. Yin Chuan smiled and looked at the battlefield in the distance. What do you think of Jin Yu? Strong. Even with an injured body, he can still contend with 7 middle void stage martial artists. Too fierce, Hua Guang said in a deep voice. Haha, on one side is Ao Tian's holy son, who has no interest in me. On the other side is Jin Yu, whom I want to subdue. How can it be unworthy? Taking risks? What does it require taking risks in this world? Yin Chuan said indifferently. Yes. Hua Guang took a deep breath and answered. Your Majesty, what should we do now? Hua Guang asked doubtfully. Wait. Yin Chuan said affirmatively. Wait. Jin Dayu's potential is limitless. Although we have 2 more middle void stage experts, we may not be able to capture him in a short period of time. That holy son of Ao Tian is too impetuous. Impetuosity is his fatal flaw. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Off in the distance, Proud Heaven's holy son sat in his chair, clearly irritated by the fact that Jin Yu had yet to be taken down. Trash. 7 people can't even catch a beast. Proud Heaven Holy Sun grumbled. The 2 middle void stage experts behind Ao Tian Holy Sun sighed. Everyone felt helpless when they had to deal with the guard. Wow. Jin Yu swiftly fled to the side, but how could the 7 middle void stage martial artists let him escape just like that? Evil creature, if you don't surrender now, we won't hold back anymore. An expert roared. Roar. Surrender without a fight? Jin Yu would rather die in battle. The battle became more and more deadlocked. Trash. 7 people can't even catch this beast? You two, go and capture him. Proud Heaven Holy Sun said irritably. Holy Sun, you can't. We'll protect you. The 2 quickly shook their heads. Do I need your protection? Go. Proud Heaven Holy Sun said angrily. No. The 2 shook their heads. You won't listen to me? I'll go back and tell Father that you 2 try to kill me, so he won't teach you cultivation techniques anymore. In the future, Father won't allow you to attend his lectures. He might even expel you from the Holy Lands. Proud Heaven Holy Sun said ruthlessly. The 2's faces turned ugly. Holy Sun, the 2 said bitterly. Why haven't you gone yet? Proud Heaven Holy Sun shouted. The 2 exchanged a glance and sighed. One of them said, Holy Sun, he'll go help the others. I'll stay here. This is our bottom line. No, he's not as strong as you. How can he catch that beast? You go catch that beast. Proud Heaven Holy Sun shouted. The 2 looked at each other and bitterly said, Yes. Whoosh. Another person charged into the battlefield to capture Jin Yu. Not far away in the valley, Yin Chuan saw this scene and laughed. Now we can. Whoosh. Yin Chuan and Hua Guang rushed out of the forest and toward the mountain peak. Chapter 787. Who are you? The last guard standing behind Ao Tian Holy Sun was shocked. He turned around and threw a punch at Qin Xiaobei. Jade Emperor's sword array. Boom! The Jade Emperor's sword array exploded, and sword chi surrounded the middle ethereal stage expert. Bastard! The middle ethereal stage expert attacked the Jade Emperor's sword array furiously. The Jade Emperor's sword array was pushed back. The middle ethereal stage expert was furious. Immortal state? How dare you attack me? You must be tired of living. He was about to step forward when Yin Chuan smiled and gestured to the other side. The middle ethereal stage expert turned his head away. What are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Ao Tian Holy Sun roared. Hua Guang's spear was pointed at Ao Tian Holy Sun's head. If Ao Tian Holy Sun moved, the spear would pierce his head. I am Ao Tian Holy Sun. How dare you touch me? How dare you point your spear at me? I want you dead. Ao Tian Holy Sun roared. Ha! Qin Xiaobei swung the spear at Ao Tian Holy Sun's face. The force behind the spear twisted Ao Tian Holy Sun's mouth and knocked 3 of his teeth out. You! How dare you hit me? Ao Tian Holy Sun covered his face in disbelief. What's wrong with hitting you? If you keep talking, I will pierce your head. Hua Guang said coldly. My father is the palace master of 10th God Palace. He will kill you. Ao Tian Holy Sun roared. Do you think I won't kill you right now? Huguang said coldly. The proud sky, holy sun's expression changed when the spear was pressed against his head. Looking at Huguang's cold eyes, the proud sky, holy sun felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar. No one had ever dared to speak to him like this before. Moreover, they even had the power to decide his life and death. Wu, quickly call me father, quickly call me father. The proud heaven, holy sun cried out in horror. Stop, what are you doing? He's proud heaven's holy sun. This is the territory of the divine sect. If even a single hair on proud heaven's holy sun is harmed, you'll all die. If I lose even a hair, I'll die. Did the few front teeth that were knocked out just now count? Oh no, if we're all going to die, then what's the point of keeping this kid alive? Huguang, why don't we just kill him? Yin Chuan smiled as he flew over. Don't. That expert's expression changed as he cried out in horror. Yin Chuan flew over and reached out with his hand, sealing proud heaven's holy sun's cultivation base in the blink of an eye. The middle void stage expert's face twitched violently. 2 God State warriors? These 2 are just in the divine realm. He actually dared to restrain proud heaven's holy sun. What are you doing? As long as you release the holy sun, everything will be fine. That expert said anxiously. Let them stop first. Yin Chuan said calmly. That expert immediately shouted, Stop! Everyone stop! Hearing that expert shout, the 8 experts in the battle all frowned. The 3-legged golden crow was dying. At this time, as long as they put in more effort, they would be able to take down the 3-legged golden crow. Everyone turned their heads to look in displeasure. At first glance, everyone's expression changed drastically, and their hair stood on end. Bang! The 8 experts quickly flew away and looked at proud heaven's holy sun in horror. Who are you? What are you doing? Bastard! Release proud heaven's holy sun. Everyone shouted in horror. On the other side, the 3-legged golden crow was about to die. Suddenly, the battle stopped. The 3-legged golden crow was slightly stunned and turned around. Proud heaven holy sun, who was incomparably arrogant before, was captured. Chapter 788. Yin Chuan. The 3-legged golden crow's face changed. The 3-legged golden crow had thought of many possible outcomes for today's disaster. He could die in battle, be captured, or even be rescued, but it couldn't be Yin Chuan. Jin Dayu, you're safe now. You can go now. Yin Chuan suddenly looked at Jin Dayu with a smile. Jin Dayu's figure flickered and turned into a golden-robed man. However, this golden-robed man was covered in wounds and extremely weak. Go! Jin Dayu took a step forward and was about to leave. However, when he looked at Yin Chuan, who was surrounded by 9 Middle Void Realm experts, his face sank. Ha! My Jin clan has never had a coward. Yin Chuan, I won't accept your kindness. Jin Dayu said stubbornly. Then, he stepped toward Yin Chuan and Huguang. Divine Realm? He was saved by 2 Divine Realm experts, and he had to run away? Jin Dayu couldn't accept it. If he ran away, it would be admitting that he was a coward. He couldn't even compare to 2 Divine Realm experts. This shadow would follow him for the rest of his life. With Jin Dayu's pride, he couldn't accept it. Jin Dayu flew over. The 9 Middle Void Realm experts were still coldly looking at Yin Chuan. Release Ao Tian's holy sun. Otherwise, don't blame me for making a move. A Middle Void Realm expert said coldly. Make a move? Ao Tian's holy sun is in my hands. Do you dare? Yin Chuan said coldly. You want to threaten me with Ao Tian's holy sun? You're still too inexperienced. The old man said coldly. Then, the old man waved the long sword in his hand and was about to stab. The other 8 Middle Void Realm experts were also about to make a move. Ao Tian's holy sun suddenly screamed. Huguang's spear stabbed Ao Tian's holy sun's leg. Blood gushed out. I'm sorry, proud heaven holy sun. This old man scared me. My hand trembled, and the spear stabbed you. If you want to blame someone, blame him. Huguang said with a look of shame. The faces of the emptiness realm experts on the other side darkened. Are you scared? Woo. The proud sky holy sun cried out in pain. At the same time, He couldn't help but glare at the old man with resentment. The old man opened his mouth and bitterly took a step back. What do you want? Did he come for the three-legged golden crow? Now that the three-legged golden crow has been saved, it is better to release the Holy Sun. We promise not to pursue the matter. The old man immediately shouted, Do I have the word gullible written on my face? Yin Chuan laughed. The old man's face turned red. Then what do you want? We can't stay here for long. Everyone, come with me. Let's find a safe place first, and then we can slowly discuss. Yin Chuan said with a smile. The Emptiness Realm experts had strange expressions on their faces. These two bastards are too bold. Okay. The old man nodded. Rumble. A huge flying boat was flying over at high speed. Yin Chuan, Huoguang, and Proud Heaven Holy Sun boarded the flying boat. Jin Diyu also boarded the flying boat with a strange look on his face. The flying boat flew, and the 9 Emptiness Realm experts followed closely behind. They quickly left this place. Lord Ayu, it's a small world. We meet again, Yin Chuan said with a smile. This time, he was almost dead, but he was saved by a little Immortal Realm expert. Jin Diyu looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. The first time, he destroyed the Great Winged Heaven School. The second time, he was stabbed. And the third time, he was saved. Was he really not as good as Yin Chuan? You want to subdue me at this time? Jin Diyu said with a gloomy face. Will I, Yin Chuan, take advantage of other people's difficulties? If I did, I wouldn't have let you go last time, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Chapter 789. Jin Dayu's expression was complicated. Yin Chuan turned around and looked at Ao Tian's Holy Sun. Ao Tian's Holy Sun, I heard you say that you have many treasures and can heal Jin Dayu's injuries. I wonder if you can. Yin Chuan looked at Ao Tian's Holy Sun amiably. Ao Tian's Holy Sun stopped crying and looked at the group of villains in horror. With Huoguang's constant anxiety, Ao Tian's Holy Sun had suffered a lot. With Ao Tian's Holy Sun's temperament, how could he have the strength of character? He quickly poured out all kinds of spiritual pills and treasures from his storage treasures. Yin Chuan handed a large number of treasures to Jin Dayu. Jin Dayu looked at the treasures in front of him and didn't know what to say. He wanted to refuse, but it was too pretentious. After all, he was injured all over. I will pay you back in the future, Jin Dayu said in a low voice. Seeing Jin Dayu put away all kinds of healing pills, Yin Chuan nodded and said, Jin Dayu, your healing hall is ready. You can go in and heal your injuries, but there is something I have to say. Jin Dayu looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. Three-legged golden crows may have a glorious history, but people can't live in the past. If you want to restore the glory of three-legged golden crows, you have to be down to earth and work hard. Maybe your generation won't succeed, but your generation can strengthen the foundation and become stronger generation after generation. As long as you work hard for tomorrow, there will be a day when you can turn things around. That's all I have to say. Go and heal your injuries. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said. Jin Dayu looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. No one had ever said these words to him before. His father had taught him not to forget his glory, but was it enough just to not forget it? Jin Dayu took a deep breath and nodded. He followed a soldier to a hall. You? What do you want? My father is the leader of 10th Divine Hall. If something happens to me, my father won't let you go. What do you want? I can give it to you. Saintess, do you want it? I can get a holy maiden in divine sect for you, as long as you let me go. Ao Tian Holy Sun shouted in fear. Oh, you can even get a saintess? Yin Chuan laughed. That's right. As long as you don't have a powerful backer, I can get you a talented holy maiden. You can blaspheme them however you want. Please let me go. Proud Heaven's Holy Sun begged. No need. Proud Heaven Holy Sun. If I let you go, I'll be in danger. Yin Chuan shook his head. On the other side, at the stern of his ship, 9 middle void stage martial artists followed with gloomy expressions. Senior brother, I'll go back and report to Master. You guys continue to follow. Someone shouted. The 9 of them looked at each other and finally nodded. Just as everyone was about to leave, Hua Guang appeared and said in a loud voice, "Everyone, you're not going to send a message, are you?" The faces of the 9 people stiffened. "We're watching you. If one of you is missing, we'll cut off one of Proud Heaven's Holy Son's legs. You can leave, but I don't know how many legs Proud Heaven's Holy Son has to cut off." Hua Guang laughed. The 9 people's faces changed. "Bastard. Have you thought about the consequences? Do you know the consequences of going against 10th God Hall?" The leading old man roared. "Consequences? I don't know, but I know what will happen to us if we let Proud Heaven's Holy Son go." Hua Guang laughed. Everyone looked helpless. Of course, they couldn't just let this matter go. Let them go. As long as Proud Heaven's Holy Son was safe, 10th God Hall would take revenge. On the other side, Proud Heaven's Holy Son's cultivation base was sealed. At this moment, Yinchuan invited him to a large hall. "What do you want?" Proud Heaven's Holy Son asked with an ugly expression. "It's nothing. Come, sit down and have some tea. Relax, and tell me about your divine, sacred grounds." Yinchuan greeted with a smile. Chapter 790. It was a huge valley. Yinchuan's airship stopped beside a large lake. In the distance, the 9 great void stage experts glanced at each other, and all of their eyes revealed bewilderment. "Senior brother, it's been 2 months. What are these people doing?" "Yes, brother. What do they want to do with the Holy Son?" "Senior brother, should we inform the Hall Master?" The 9 people discussed in low voices. The old man in the lead shook his head and said, "The Hall Master has assigned the 9 of us to protect the Holy Son. We have already failed in our mission and will be punished by the Hall Master when we return. However, as long as the Holy Son is safe, we can bear any punishment. However, if we act rashly and the Holy Son loses a leg or an arm, we will not be able to escape the blame." But everyone was still worried. "No buts. We'll be punished if we go back and report, and we'll also be punished if we stay here. It's better not to anger this group of people. Moreover, we've been missing for 2 months. On the other hand, the Palace Master must have sent people to look for us." The old man said, "Don't worry. As long as we keep the Holy Son safe, the Temple Master will be able to find us soon." The old man said solemnly, "Yes, the safety of the Holy Son is our top priority." Everyone nodded. At this moment, a black-robed man slowly walked over. It was Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang walked to the front of the crowd and took a step forward. Buzz! A compass pattern was formed on the ground. The earth trembled slightly. "Everyone, please make way. I'm going to set up a formation." Feng Yinyang said calmly. The faces of the 9 middle void stage martial artists turned unsightly. They made way for Feng Yinyang to continue setting up the formation. The 9 middle void stage experts walked to the side with awkward expressions. "Senior brother, is he setting up a feng shui array? Should we arrest him?" "Yes, capture him and trade him for the Holy Son." Everyone whispered among themselves. "No." The leading old man immediately stopped everyone. So what if you captured a feng shui master? What if we can't save the Holy Son and infuriate them and hurt the Holy Son? What should we do then?" The leading old man asked in a low voice. Everyone's face sank. "What's more, even if the Holy Son is saved, our failure will not be mitigated. What's the difference between saving him and not saving him? It wouldn't be long before the Hall Master would be able to find them. Wouldn't it be better for the Hall Master to save the Holy Son? That way, at least the young Temple Master will understand that we were also forced." The old man explained. Everyone's expression suddenly became serious, and they all nodded. Feng Yinyang continued to set up the formation. The 9 middle void stage martial artists could only watch from the side. "Everyone, please make way. We haven't set up the formation here yet." Feng Yinyang walked up again. The 9 middle void stage martial artists stepped aside, speechless. If it weren't for that little ancestor, would they have fallen to such a state? On the flying boat, in front of the main hall where Jin Dayu was. "Your Majesty, you mustn't. Jin Dayu is in danger." Hua Guang stopped Yin Chuan. "Don't worry." Yin Chuan shook his head. After saying that, Yin Chuan stepped into the main hall where Jin Dayu was. Bang! The door of the main hall slammed shut. "Hades Emperor, please," Jean Dayu said in a low voice. There was a table in the middle of the main hall with tea on it. Jean Dayu was in high spirits at this moment. He nodded. Yin Chuan swung his robe and sat down slowly. "Jean Dayu, are you feeling better?" Yin Chuan smiled. Yin Chuan didn't stand on ceremony with the tea on the table. He picked it up and took a sip. Chapter 791. Jean Dayu looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression on his face. 70% done. Proud Heaven's holy son really has a lot of treasures. The treasures he has on him are comparable to the treasures of a middle-level sect leader. Jean Dayu sighed. "Congratulations." Yin Chuan smiled. "Hades Emperor, why are you helping me?" Jean Dayu asked. "Why do you think I'll let you go back then?" Yin Chuan stared at Jean Dayu and smiled. Jean Dayu frowned. "Hades Emperor, I've said it before. I will never submit to Great Jun." Jean Dayu shook his head. "Why?" Yin Chuan smiled. Jean Dayu fell silent. Yin Chuan put down his teacup and his face became serious. "Jean Dayu, I know that you are arrogant. I can see that your backbone comes from the glory in your heart from your ancestor. However, your ancestor is still your ancestor. Do you think that you can reach the heights of your ancestor?" Yin Chuan asked in a low voice. "Of course I can't be compared to my ancestors." Jean Dayu shook his head, but his eyes flashed with unwillingness. "Even the glory of your ancestor will fall one day. Even your ancestor couldn't resist the will of the heavens. Can you reverse it?" Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Jean Dayu took a deep breath. There was a moment of silence. No one is born to be number one in the world. Every number one in the world has to go through a long process of growth. In comparison, you're still too weak. Even I, Great Jun, am too weak. However, we can grow, we can become stronger. One day, we will stand at the peak of the world. Yin Chuan said solemnly. The peak of the world? Jean Dayu looked bitter. He had almost died several times, but it was like a joke to him. You have the potential, but you don't have the means. You don't have the platform to display your talent. Come to Great Jun. I'll give you a platform. Yin Chuan persuaded again. You're giving me a platform? Jean Dayu frowned. That's right. I'll give you a platform, the best platform. I'll let you lead an army and thousands of heroes. As long as you stay in the Great Jin Empire for 1,000 years, I won't stop you if they're willing to abandon the Great Jin Empire and follow you. What do you think? Yin Chuan asked solemnly. Submit for 1,000 years? You want me to nurture my own faction? Jean Dayu asked in surprise. I'm not asking you to nurture him. I'm asking you to display your abilities. Is your charisma stronger, or is my charisma stronger? If you are stronger than Dejun can even let you have him. Yin Chuan said with certainty. Ha ha. Jean Dayu laughed, strangely, with a complicated expression. He looked at Yin Chuan, who he couldn't figure out. You don't trust me? Yin Chuan laughed. Jean Dayu frowned, disbelief flashing in his eyes. Then you shall see if I have the right to let you stay in Great Jun. Yin Chuan's expression froze. Roar! The will of an emperor gushed out. Jean Dayu seemed to see a vast golden dragon charging at him. The dragon's head was lofty and ferocious as it opened its mouth and roared. Wah! Jean Dayu's will suddenly erupted. A huge will of the golden crow suddenly appeared. Boom! The two wills collided with a loud bang. Roar! Wah! Boom! 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 The two wills collided violently. For a moment, the hall was filled with loud clashing sounds. Golden light illuminated the entire hall. The two wills didn't give way to each other. Jean Dayu knew his own will. Among cultivators of the same level, no one's will could compare to his. This was because Jean Dayu's will contained an intense heat that could burn his opponent's will. Chapter 792. True Sun Fire. Boom! A ring of fire suddenly appeared around the will of the golden crow. It seemed to have turned into a huge sun and rushed toward the golden dragon. Heavenly cycle of stars. Wong! Countless stars suddenly appeared around the golden dragon. The endless starry sky surrounded the golden dragon as if the golden dragon was the Lord of the Stars. Boom! The dragon and crow collided again. The dragon swayed its tail, and the crow's feathers trembled. They collided again and again. The dragon's mouth, dragon's claws, and crow's beak all became the most primitive barbaric weapons. The two wills kept colliding. Boom! 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 This battle lasted for 3 days and 3 nights. Boom! The golden dragon clawed the back of the golden crow. The golden dragon raised its head and roared, as if to vent its victory. The will of the golden crow wriggled for a while, but could not move. Phew! The golden dragons will swayed and returned to Yin Chuan's body. The golden crows will also slowly disappeared with a sense of unwillingness. Jin Dayu looked at Yin Chuan in disbelief. I'm at the middle void realm, but Yin Chuan is only at the immortal state? Is the immortal state's will so much stronger than mine? Once he reaches the middle void realm, how can I be his opponent? Jin Dayu's face was full of disappointment. Little did he know that Yin Chuan's will was at the upper void realm, which was 1 level higher than Jin Dayu's. This was a battle without any suspense. There was no need to guess the result. Of course, Yin Chuan would not tell Jin Dayu. What do you think, Jin Dayu? Yin Chuan asked with a smile. Jin Dayu said bitterly, Hades Emperor, I'm not as good as you. A deep sense of defeat enveloped Jin Dayu. In Dijon, there are more than 1 or 2 who can surpass you. Yin Chuan said with certainty. Huh? Jin Dayu was surprised. Not just 1 or 2. Jin Dayu originally thought that his cultivation was one of the best even in the Great Perfection realm. But what did Yin Chuan mean by that? Yin Chuan shook his head and did not explain further. After all, Jin Dayu had yet to agree to join the Great Zhen Kingdom. So what was there to say? Jin Dayu, I don't know how glorious your ancestors were, but if you want to return to those heights, you have to be down to earth. You also need a platform and an opportunity. Yin Chuan took a deep breath and said solemnly, My Great Zhen is in dire need of manpower right now. That's why I've repeatedly advised you that when my Great Zhen has exhausted its manpower, if I come to recruit you again, it won't be me coming personally. Jin Dayu's expression suddenly changed. Yin Chuan's words were very clear. Now was an opportunity. In the future, when there were many powerful officials in Great Zhen, it would be the officials of Great Zhen who came to recruit him. The treatment then would definitely be different from now. Jin Dayu's expression was complicated. At this moment, he was already willing, but his pride still made it difficult for him to take this step. Are you still holding on to your past pride? That pride doesn't belong to you. It belongs to your ancestors. Your ancestors created glory, but you didn't create anything. What are you proud of? Yin Chuan advised again. Jin Dayu's expression froze. In the end, he smiled bitterly. Jin Dayu took a deep breath and bowed. Jin Dayu is willing to join the Great Zhen Kingdom for 1,000 years. Greetings, Your Majesty. Yin Chuan threw his teacup and stood up immediately. He quickly helped Jin Dayu up and said, with Jin Dayu's help, Great Zhen will be like a tiger that has grown wings. The day of the Heavenly Empire is just around the corner. I've been waiting for this for a long time. You flatter me, Your Majesty. Jin Dayu sighed. I didn't flatter you. I can see clearly that you just haven't had a place to display your talents. Great Zhen will definitely help you display your talents. From today onwards, I confer Jin Dayu as the 3rd army commander of the Great Zhen dynasty. You can lead a large army with 100,000 retainers. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Jin Dayu understood the meaning of the term army commander. It wasn't a title of nobility or an official position. However, in a country, it was more precious than any official position or nobility because the army commander was one of the country's backbone. It was equivalent to a country's founding hero. It had great authority. The 3rd army commander was also the great importance Yin Chuan placed on him. Thank you, Your Majesty. Jin Dayu officially accepted the appointment. Chapter 793. East Divine Continent, the Zhen Dynasty, Yin Capital, above the Sea of Providence. Boom! The Sea of Providence churned violently. Yifeng and Lu Gang walked out of the main hall once again. They looked at the churning sea of providence. Did the emperor take in another important official? Lu Gang asked in surprise. Yifeng nodded his head and said, "That's right. I wonder what kind of person he is to be able to make His Majesty pay so much attention to him." The sea of providence is churning violently. Looking at the sky, Yifeng asked again, "Lu Gang, did you check the East faction carefully?" "Don't worry, Lord. There won't be any trouble in the imperial court," Lu Gang said confidently. Yifeng nodded. In another magnificent main hall in Yin capital, the former Yin emperor, now Marquis Yin Shuyu, looked at the sea of providence with longing. Behind Yin Shuyu stood a black-robed figure. "Yin emperor?" "No." Marquis Yin looked carefully. "The Dezhun dynasty, the original Yin, was originally yours. You can feel the providence on you. If you become the emperor, you will have more providence on you," the black-robed figure said softly. Yin Shuyu clenched her fists and her face darkened. "All of this was originally yours," the black-robed figure whispered. Yin Shuyu's eyes flashed with jealousy. Middle Divine Continent, in a valley near the arcane sect's sacred ground. Feng Yinyang had already set up the array. Yin Chuan was still in Jin Deyu's main hall, talking to his official. "Your Majesty, although I joined the Dezhun dynasty, I hope you won't," Jin Deyu said with a frown. "I need you, Jin Deyu, not your ancestor. You don't have to explain to me. I believe you." Yin Chuan put down his teacup and said solemnly, "Thank you, Your Majesty." Jin Deyu was relieved. Suddenly, Jin Deyu's face changed. "Your Majesty, this is bad." "Quang." Jin Deyu quickly opened the main hall door. He shielded Yin Chuan behind him and looked into the distance warily. "You're here?" Yin Chuan's face sank. "Yes," Jin Deyu said with an ugly expression. "Rumble." Suddenly, a powerful aura descended from the sky, as if it was going to crush the entire valley into dust. In the outside world, the faces of the 9 Middle Void stage martial artists immediately lit up with joy. "The Hall Master is here. The Hall Master is here. Greetings, Hall Master." The 9 of them respectfully bowed towards the pressure in the sky. Rumble. The oppressive void suddenly shone with a dazzling black light. The black light condensed and gradually transformed into a man in a black robe. The man's robe was wide, and he looked incomparably noble. However, his face was blurry, as if it was covered by a layer of black fog. It was impossible to see his face clearly. "Virtuous Dharma Laksana?" Yin Chuan let out a sigh as confidence flashed in his eyes. The black-robed man's aura suppressed everyone. "Hall Master, it's them. They're the ones who kidnapped the young Hall Master." A Middle Void Realm martial artist immediately shouted. "Hall Master, the young Hall Master is on the flying boat. Quickly save the young Hall Master." Another Middle Void Realm martial artist shouted. The black-robed man turned his head and glanced at the 9 Middle Void Realm martial artists. He said indifferently, "Trash." The 9 people's faces changed. In the end, no one dared to refute. 9 Middle Void Realm martial artists protecting Ao Tian's holy son were kidnapped by 2 Divine Realm martial artists in the end. If this got out, it would definitely be the biggest joke in the Divine Sect. "Father, Father, Father, save me, Father." Ao Tian's holy son's surprise cry came from a main hall on the flying boat. Chapter 794. "Father, quick! Capture all of them! I want revenge! I want revenge!" Ao Tian Holy Son's voice suddenly flashed with a hint of ruthlessness. In a large hall, the ravenous wolf was guarding the proud sky sage son. Tan Lang heard Ao Tian Holy Son's words and immediately kicked Ao Tian Holy Son in the stomach. How dare you kick me?" Ao Tian Holy Son said fiercely. "I want my father to extract your soul. I want your soul to be exposed to the sun every day. I want you to beg for death." Ao Tian Holy Son said fiercely. Now that his father was here, Ao Tian Holy Son relied on him the most. No one who offended him would have a good ending. "Keep talking and I'll kill you," Tan Lang said fiercely. Aotion Holy Sun's face stiffened. Ruthless people were afraid of unreasonable people. No matter how ruthless the proud Sky Saint Sun was, he was not a threat to the straightforward greed. If he forced greed into a corner, then everyone would die together. Proud Heaven Saint Sun clutched his stomach that was kicked, his face full of horror. I've seen your portrait before. Are you Yin Chuan of the Jin dynasty? The black-robed figure said lightly. Greetings, 10th God Palace Lord. Yin Chuan nodded. Jin Diyu, Hua Guang, and Feng Yinyang all stood behind Yin Chuan. 10th God Palace Lord? Heh, do you know that my surname is Kong? The black-robed figure said lightly. 10th God Palace Lord, Kong Xinshui? I know, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. No, you don't know, the black-robed figure said in a deep voice. Oh, Yin Chuan was puzzled. According to seniority, Kong Susu is my cousin. You should know who I am. Kong Xinshui said again. Kong Susu's cousin? Yin Chuan frowned. Kong Susu is Yin Chuan's mother. Kong Xinshui is Kong Susu's cousin? Kong family? Wasn't the Kong family in the West? Why are you here? According to seniority, you should call me uncle, and Kong Out Yin should be your cousin. Kong Xinshui explained. Ah. The group of middle void stage experts stared blankly at the sky. Uncle? Cousin? Everyone was still thinking about how to punish Yin Chuan after capturing him to vent the hatred in their hearts. However, the relationship between Zhang Xian and the Hall Master caused the hearts of the crowd to freeze to death. It wasn't just the 9 middle void stage martial artists. Even Jin Diyu, Hua Guang, and Feng Yinyang all revealed bewildered expressions. Uncle? This person was the Emperor's uncle? Looking at Kong Xinshui in front of him, Yin Chuan was unmoved, but he believed his words. Kong Xinshui? Kong Susu? The first Hall Master of the Divine Sect wouldn't lie about this, because there was no need for that at this moment. However, Yin Chuan did not show too much affection towards this uncle who had suddenly appeared. Firstly, the Kong family did nothing to stop his mother's death. Secondly, his father's last words warned him to be careful of the Kong family. Yin Chuan smiled and said, Hall Master Kong, what's your plan? Kong Out Yin is your cousin, so he's one of us. Let him out first. Kong Xinshui said matter-of-factly. Hua Guang and the others all looked at Yin Chuan. Yin Chuan stared at Kong Xinshui and shook his head slightly. Since they are relatives, please rest assured, Hall Master Kong. I promise that Kong Out Yin won't lose a single hair. What do you think? Kong Xuanshui's voice suddenly revealed a hint of coldness. It's not that I don't want to let him go, but we are weak and have to consider our own safety. Yin Chuan smiled. Your safety? You don't believe me? Kong Xinshui said coldly. Chapter 795. I believe you, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Yin Chuan believed that Kong Xinshui was his relative, but he didn't believe that Kong Xinshui would be friendly to him. Ha ha ha. Yin Chuan, you're just like Su Su. You're so suspicious of me. Since I'm your uncle, why are you so worried? He's your cousin, not an outsider. Kong Xinshui said again. Because we're relatives, Hall Master Kong should trust me. Don't worry, I'll release Kong Out Yin as soon as I'm safe. Yin Chuan said firmly. Neither of them was willing to back down. Suddenly, the atmosphere became awkward. The 9 middle void stage experts didn't dare to say anything. After all, this was the Hall Master's family affair. Hua Guang, Feng Yinyang, and Jin Dayu were watching and learning from Kong Xinshui. Humph! Kong Xinshui snorted. A huge aura was emitted, and the huge pressure caused the entire flying boat to shake and tremble. Kong Xinshui was infuriated. Hall Master Kong, why are you doing this? Yin Chuan took a step forward and said in a deep voice. Today, I'd like to see how powerful Kong Susu's son is. How dare he talk back to his uncle? Kong Xinshui said coldly. If so, Yin Chuan will accompany Hall Master Kong and have a try. Yin Chuan took a step forward with a smile. Accompany Kong Xinshui and have a try? Not to mention Kong Xinshui, the 9 middle void stage experts were also at a loss. What kind of joke was this? How dare a divine realm expert boast so shamelessly? Kong Xianshui was also slightly stunned. He just wanted to suppress Yin Chuan with his aura. He didn't expect that Yin Chuan would dare to fight him. Was this guy out his mind? Good, good, good. Don't worry, you're Kong Susu's son. I won't hurt you. Kong Xianshui said coldly. So Home Master Kong is giving face to my mother? Yin Chuan said with a smile. That's right. Then, why don't Home Master Kong allow me to make the first move? Yin Chuan said with a smile. The faces of the 9 middle void stage martial artists turned black. This Yin Chuan was too good at taking advantage of the situation. Ha ha ha, good. Show me what you got. Kong Xianshui looked at Yin Chuan in surprise. Yin Chuan nodded and looked at Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang nodded lightly. Yin Chuan reached out and took out the Great Heavenly Seal. He tossed the Great Heavenly Seal into the sky. Suddenly, a dragon roar resounded from the ground. Roar! Rumble! The earth churned, and 9 huge mountain ranges suddenly appeared in the surroundings. Feng Shui array? Kong Xianshui frowned. Hall Master. That Feng Shui master set up a formation earlier. A middle void stage expert shouted. Ark! 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 Suddenly, 9 golden dragons rushed out from the ground. The energy of the 9 dragon veins rushed into the Great Heavenly Seal. Boom! The 9 dragons rushed into the Great Heavenly Seal, and the Great Heavenly Seal suddenly emitted a dazzling light. It expanded by more than 10,000 times and fell from the sky toward Kong Xianshui. Kong Xianshui didn't think much of it at first. So what if an immortal state treasure was powerful? Even if the 9 dragon veins were added, they wouldn't be a threat to him. When the Great Heavenly Seal was close to him, he felt something was wrong. What kind of jade is that? How can it dissolve my virtuous Dharma idol? Kong Xuanshui's face changed. The Great Heavenly Seal, yellow jade of heaven and earth? It's used to break qi and virtuous Dharma? Kong Xuanshui's face changed drastically. Under the pressure of the Great Heavenly Seal, the powerful virtuous Dharma idol collapsed. Kong Xuanshui's virtuous Dharma idol collapsed and disappeared. It was too fast and too fake. The middle void stage experts were petrified. They couldn't recover from the shock for a long time. How is this possible? The Hall Master is gone? Boom! The surrounding dragon veins were drained by Feng Yinyang, and the mountains collapsed. They turned into a pile of rubble. Yin Chuan used the Great Heavenly Seal. Let's go. Let's leave this place. Yin Chuan shouted. Chapter 796. Central Divine Continent. Divine Sect's sacred grounds. In a large hall, a black-robed man was sitting on a throne. His hands were resting on the chair, and his eyes were closed as if he had fallen asleep. Suddenly, the man opened his eyes, and a torrential qi gushed out. Roar! With a furious roar, the man slapped away a tea set on the table beside him. Yin Chuan? Little bastard, you're the same as your mother. Both of you aren't good people. The man said coldly. This person was Divine Sect's Holy Land, 10th Divine Hall's Palace Master, Kong Xianshui. Back then, your mother betrayed the Kong clan and ruined my plans. Now I've set things right. You little bastard, you actually came here as well? It's useless even if you're here. If it wasn't for the fact that I have to refine the great world suppressing steel and can't leave, how could I allow you to act so impudently? If anything happens to my son, I will skin you alive. Kong Xuanshui's eyes flashed with hatred. The heaven and earth great mystic yellow jade? Huh. Kong Xuanshui's eyes flashed with greed. Yin Chuan's flying boat quickly left the place. The 9 middle void realm martial artists followed behind. The 9 of them were still in a daze. The previous scene was too bizarre. Had he managed to shatter the Hall Master with a single palm? How is this possible? At the stern of the ship, Yin Chuan looked at the 9 people. Now, the 9 of you don't need to follow us. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. What? The old man's face darkened. If Kong Xianshui asks, just tell him that I told you. As long as you don't do anything stupid, Kong Outyin will be fine. Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. When did you release the Holy Sun? The old man shouted. When we are safe. Yin Chuan said affirmatively. Everyone hesitated. If you continue to follow me, I can't guarantee that Kong Outyin will be in one piece. Yinchuan said coldly. Don't. The old man's face darkened. Senior martial brother, you can't listen to him. What if? Another middle void stage martial artist immediately cried out. Shut up, the old man said in a deep voice. No matter how bad the relationship between Yin Chuan and the temple master is, the Holy Sun and Yin Chuan are blood relatives after all. The Holy Sun did not offend Yin Chuan, so Yin Chuan will not make things difficult for him. As he said, once it is safe, he will release the Holy Sun. The old man said with certainty. Moreover, the temple master has already acknowledged Yin Chuan as his relative. If we leave, it won't be considered a dereliction of duty. The old man said in a deep voice. But, no buts. If you insist on doing things your own way and cause harm to the Holy Sun, you will have to answer to the temple master and the Holy Sun yourself. The old man said in a low voice. The face of the person who spoke suddenly changed, and he shut his mouth. The old man looked at Yin Chuan again. Emperor of Hell, Outyin's Holy Son has been spoiled since he was a child. It is inevitable that he will speak rudely. I hope you can forgive him for the sake of our kinship. The old man said solemnly. Okay. Yin Chuan nodded. Goodbye. The old man said again. Whoosh. He quickly flew away with the 8 middle void stage cultivators. After the middle void stage cultivators left, Yin Chuan let out a sigh of relief. Your Majesty, you know that Kong Xinshui must have the virtuous Dharma Laksana? Feng Yinyang asked curiously. Yin Chuan smiled and said, During this period of time, I found out from Kong Outyin that Kong Xinshui has a precious treasure that needs to be refined quickly. He can't go out, so he arranged 9 middle void stage cultivators to protect him. Otherwise, who do you think would be so extravagant to have 9 middle void stage cultivators as guards? Maybe Kong Xinshui spoils Kong Outyin too much, Hua Guang said in confusion. No matter how much he spoils him, it's impossible. In this world, there can't be too many middle void stage cultivators. 9 guards? It's impossible even in the Dajiao holy ground, not to mention the holy ground of the holy ground of the holy sex. This arrangement must be because Kong Xinshui can't protect his son during this period of time. It's just that I didn't expect him to be a member of the Kong family. Yin Chuan said with a serious face. Chapter 797. Your Majesty, are we still going to Meng Hongying's place? Hua Guang asked. No need. Since Kong Outyin knows where Zizi lives, let's go there and pick her up. We will return immediately. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Yes, Your Majesty. Jin Dayu. Yin Chuan looked at Jin Dayu. Your Majesty, I see that you've been fighting as the Golden Crow. Don't you cultivate treasures or weapons? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Jin Dayu looked at Yin Chuan and revealed a trace of bitterness. My family has had its own inheritance of refining artifacts for generations. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to find the materials I want, so I haven't used any artifacts. Oh? What material is it that is so hard to find? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Fire Essence Stone of Extreme Yang. Jin Dayu explained. Fire Essence Stone of Extreme Yang? This material is indeed rare. Don't worry. Since you have joined Dejun will naturally send a large number of people to find the material you want. However, I have never heard of this material being used to refine treasures. My Jin family has been passed down for generations, and our magical treasure is a bell. It is called the Gate of Heaven. Jin Dayu explained. Gate of Heaven? What a great name. Don't worry. I will help you refine the Gate of Heaven as soon as possible, Yin Chuan said confidently. Yes, thank you, Your Majesty, Jin Dayu replied. The flying boat circled around and avoided all the large cities. High in the sky, they activated the array and formed a white cloud that covered the flying boat. They quickly flew toward the depths of the Archaean sect. I don't want to go to Purple Heart Villa. I don't want to go. I don't want to go, Kong Outyin shouted. A month ago, when his father's virtuous Dharma idol was destroyed, Kong Outyin knew that he was in trouble. Therefore, He was very cooperative with Yin Chuan, so much so that he would answer every question. However, Kong Ao Yin did not expect that he would be going to Purple Heart Villa. "Shut up," Tan Lang shouted coldly. Tan Lang's shout made Kong Ao Yin tremble. He had suffered a lot at Tan Lang's hands. Tan Lang did not know how to control his strength when he hit someone. He left behind a group of soldiers to guard the flying boat hidden in the forest. Yin Chuan, Feng Yinyang, Hua Guang, Jin Diyu, and Tan Lang escorted Kong Ao Yin to ZZ's residence. "You can't go. Yin Chuan, you really can't go. You don't know how terrifying that Saint Z is. Anyone who comes into contact with her is unlucky. She is the god of plagues," Kong Ao Yin exclaimed. "Shut up," Yin Chuan said coldly. "It's true. When she first arrived, many people chased after her because she's the granddaughter of my divine sex master. But as long as you're near her, everyone would become unlucky. I personally experienced it. Because of her, I was sick for half a year. Even drinking water almost choked me to death. I was even assassinated by hundreds of experts. That's why my father constantly sent guards to protect me. Even more because of her, my demon pet died without knowing why. That's why I want to capture Jin Diyu," Kong Ao Yin said in horror. "Ha ha." Yin Chuan's heart was at ease. "You can't go. Yin Chuan, you can't go. I'm also unlucky enough. My father even said that he would find a way for me to marry Saint Z. But who would dare to marry such a Saint Z? Who would dare?" Kong Ao Yin exclaimed in horror. What did you say? Kong Xinshui wants you to marry ZZ? Yin Chuan's pupils suddenly shrank. "Yes, my father is good to me in everything except this. He wants my life. I don't want this god of plagues. I don't want it," Kong Ao Yin exclaimed in horror. "It's not that you don't want it. It's that you don't deserve it," Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. ZZ is my wife. Why should I let you marry her?" Yin Chuan said in disdain. Really? That's great, that's great." Kong Ao Yin was indescribably surprised. "I came this time to take ZZ away," Yin Chuan said solemnly. Really? That's great. If you take ZZ away, my father won't force me. All right, we can't go this way. I'll lead the way for you. We'll go the other way," Kong Ao Yin exclaimed immediately. Yin Chuan looked at Kong Ao Yin in confusion. "My father has arranged a large number of disciples around the Purple Heart Villa to keep an eye on Saint Z. If we go this way, we'll be discovered soon. At that time, if they stop you from taking ZZ away, we'll be in trouble," Kong Ao Yin said immediately. "Disciples are waiting?" Yin Chuan squinted his eyes. I didn't mean to hide it. It's just that." Kong Ao Yin instantly regretted. He knew that he had spilled the beans. "It's okay. I won't blame you if you want to run away. However, you have to tell me why Kong Xinshui keeps looking at ZZ." Yin Chuan frowned and said. Seeing that Yin Chuan didn't blame him, Kong Ao Yin heaved a sigh of relief. "I don't know. My father said that he had been planning this for many years. Someone ruined it and forced ZZ to leave the holy grounds. Now that ZZ is back, he can't let her go," Kong Ao Yin recalled. The group changed their path. At the same time, Yin Chuan was pondering in his heart. Kong Xuanshui's plan? With ZZ's return, they seemed to be in a new quagmire. Yin Chuan's expression changed, and he was even more determined to take ZZ away. "Who's there?" he suddenly shouted. Whoosh! A golden light flashed, and Jin Diyu instantly appeared at the place where the voice came from. He slapped the person unconscious. "This is the guard of the Purple Heart Villa. Don't worry, we'll continue. You can leave immediately after taking Saint Z away," Kong Ao Yin said excitedly. Finally, he was going to send the plague away. Even if his father was to blame him in the future, it would have nothing to do with him. It would be best if the plague could kill all of them. All of them would die. Kong Ao Yin thought viciously. With Jin Dayu's help, the journey was extremely smooth. Soon, they avoided all eyes and ears and arrived at the entrance of a valley. There was a waterfall in the valley. The surrounding environment was exactly the same as the Purple Heart Villa in Carefree City. The only difference was that there was an additional hall. King of Hell's Hall. Under the waterfall there was a purple-robed figure sitting on the pier. She was facing the water and gently washing her purple hair. That delicate figure gently combed her hair. In an instant, Yinchuan felt like he had returned to the past when he first saw ZZ in Carefree City. A gentle smile appeared on Yinchuan's face. "Wait for me outside," Yinchuan said. "Yes," everyone replied. When everyone left, Kong Outyin watched Yinchuan slowly walk towards ZZ. Kong Outyin's eyes flashed with a trace of hatred. This Yinchuan was really lecherous. He wouldn't even let go of the plague. "Let's see how you'll die." Chapter 798. Atlas Studios in the main hall, where Meng Hongying was an arcane sacred ground. She was receiving an important guest, Guyu Holy Sun from the Dazhao, sacred ground. "Red Embellishment Saintess, please help me pass a message to the Holy Master of Arcane Sacred Ground. Tell him that I'm here to see him." Guyu Holy Sun said after taking a deep breath. "I'm sorry, Guyu Holy Sun. You should know that our arcane sacred ground has a divine world. The Holy Master and most of the Hall Masters have entered the divine world. Outsiders are not allowed to enter. My grandfather has also said that unless the arcane sacred ground is in a life or death situation, no one is to disturb us." Meng Hongying shook her head. "All of them have entered the divine world?" Guyu Holy Sun said with a complicated expression. "Guyu Holy Sun, what's the matter? It seems that the Gue Shun Hall Master, Kong Xianshui, has not entered the divine world. If it's really urgent, you can go and see him." Meng Hongying said. Guyu Holy Sun's expression changed. He took a deep breath and shook his head. "I've already been to the Gue Shun Hall. Unfortunately, the Gue Shun Hall Master has not met anyone." "Oh, I'm not sure about that," Meng Hongying said with a helpless expression. "No, we still need the Red Embellishment Saint's help." The Ancient Moon Holy Sun said solemnly. "Me? Help? Ha! Guyu Holy Sun is flattering me. What can I do? Why don't you try go to the Gue Shun Hall?" Meng Hongying shook her head. "No, Red Embellishment Saintess, you're the first saintess in the arcane sacred ground. Only you can do this," Guyu Holy Sun said. "First saintess? Ha! Guyu Holy Sun is flattering me. I'm not worthy." Meng Hongying shook her head. "Don't worry, Red Embellishment Saintess. It's not a big deal. It's like finding a needle in a haystack to me, but it's just a matter of words for you." Guyu Holy Sun immediately dispelled Meng Hongying's mind. "Oh, it's like this. You should know about the Great Suppressing Boundary Monument, right?" Guyu Holy Sun said in a deep voice. "I've heard a little about it." Meng Hongying nodded. "A few years ago, it was stolen by someone. The great Zhao Holy Sun, was extremely angry. I defied the heavens and deduced that the person who stole the great world-suppressing monument was hiding near the arcane holy ground. You're very familiar with this place. Please help me ask around," Guyu Holy Sun said solemnly. Meng Hongying frowned. The Sacred Master must have had his reasons for placing the great world-suppressing steel in the central divine continent. Moreover, he had summoned your divine sect's sacred ground. However, it was stolen in the central divine continent. The thief was hiding near the divine sect's sacred ground. Perhaps he wanted to frame the divine sect's sacred ground and provoke a war between our two sacred grounds. For the safety of the two holy lands, I'll have to trouble you," Guyu Holy Sun said solemnly. Meng Hongying frowned and started pacing back and forth in the hall. After a while, Meng Hongying's eyes became determined. "Guyu Holy Sun, don't worry. I will make the arrangements. As long as the great world-suppressing steel is near the divine sect's sacred ground, I will definitely find it." "All right," Guyu Holy Sun smiled. Purple Heart Villa. Yinchuan slowly walked towards Little Tan Pier. A gentle and beautiful back was facing Yinchuan. Facing the reflection in the pond, she gently combed her hair. It was ZZ. ZZ did not need to protect herself. She also did not need to worry about being attacked. In the divine sect's sacred ground, almost no one dared to offend ZZ. No one dared to come here. Even though ZZ was extremely beautiful and her purple hair added to her charm, In the face of ZZ's various mysteries, no matter how lustful he was, he would be disheartened. Chapter 799. The saintess of the divine sex, sacred ground, was revered by countless cultivators. Similarly, the loneliness of the past did not disappear because of power. Instead, it became even more intense. Looking at her beautiful face in the small pool, ZZ smiled quietly. ZZ's heart was not twisted because of this, because ZZ still wanted something to accompany her. That comb. Looking at the comb in her hand, and then at her reflection in the pond, ZZ seemed to have returned to the past. A faint smile appeared on her face. She combed her hair, just like how Yin Chuan had combed it himself that day. Yin Chuan? ZZ sighed in her heart. It's been 30 years. Is he still well? ZZ was disappointed. Now, Yin Chuan was standing behind ZZ, quietly watching her. Yin Chuan had always been watching her quietly. Towards ZZ, Yin Chuan felt even more pity. Yin Chuan had been trying his best to help ZZ get rid of the curse on her body. He felt pity for ZZ. Therefore, the Empress only left Zhen Ro on the investiture of the gods, not ZZ. However, when Yin Chuan recalled what had just happened, he realized that there wasn't just pity in his heart. It was as if there was something else. It's been 30 years. Is he still well? ZZ's casual words were like a catalyst, causing the strong tenderness in Yin Chuan's heart to quickly sublimate and change. Yin Chuan's heart trembled, as if the softest part of his heart had been touched. Pity gave birth to love. At this moment, Yin Chuan realized that he had been too unfair to ZZ in the past. A sublimated love grew in his heart. He reached out and plucked a rose from the flower bed, placing it behind him. ZZ, I'm here, Yin Chuan called out softly. ZZ suddenly raised her head, but she did not turn around. Instead, she looked up and smiled bitterly. I'm hallucinating again. ZZ shook her head. ZZ, I'm really here. I'm here to pick you up. Yin Chuan called out again. ZZ's expression changed. Was it not a hallucination? He abruptly turned his head. Their eyes met, and the small comb in ZZ's hand suddenly slipped from her hand. Yin Chuan, ZZ asked in disbelief. I'm sorry I'm late. Yin Chuan handed over the rose and said softly. ZZ felt a lump in her throat, and her eyes moistened. She turned around and wiped away her tears as she slowly got up. After she got up, her body trembled as she sobbed for a while. Only then did she wipe her tears and turn her head back. The two of them faced each other. How did you spend the past 30 years? Yin Chuan asked gently. I've thought about it for 30 years, looked forward to it for 30 years, resented it for 30 years, and hated it for 30 years. ZZ sniffled and spoke with deep affection. I should have come earlier. I've wronged you. Yin Chuan blamed himself. There was a hint of guilt in his eyes. I'm not wronged, because you gave me someone to think about, look forward to, resent, and hate. For 30 years, I wasn't lonely. For 30 years, I wasn't lonely. ZZ said with deep affection. At this moment, ZZ could no longer restrain herself. 30 years of longing made ZZ lose her restraint. She wanted to pour out all the longing in her heart at this moment. All of it. ZZ's emotions reached the peak at this moment. With ZZ's confession, Yin Chuan's love for her swelled. Looking at ZZ's confession, Yin Chuan's love also reached the peak. The rose in his hand looked so ridiculous. Throwing the rose away, Yin Chuan took a step forward. Under ZZ's surprised gaze, he picked her up and kissed her on the lips. Chapter 800. ZZ's eyes widened. She did not expect Yin Chuan to be so direct. However, she was instantly overwhelmed by the love in this kiss. She was immersed in this passionate kiss. Boom! There was a sudden explosion in the sky. Rolling dark clouds covered the sky and covered the earth. An extremely dense, heavenly might instantly shrouded the Purple Heart Villa. The rolling dark clouds carried the vast heavenly might. Anyone who got within 6 meters of ZZ would have bad luck. Anyone who touched ZZ's hair would be punished by the heavens. At this moment, Yin Chuan hugged Zizi tightly and kissed her deeply. The heavenly might was furious. It came with the power to destroy the world. How could the fate of the wife of a Tao god be sullied by others? And now was a deep kiss? How could this be? Rumble. The rolling dark clouds pressed down. The center of the rolling dark clouds was fiery red. The center of the rolling dark clouds was slowly rotating with a red light. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Countless cultivators in the divine sect's sacred ground were terrified. Heavenly wrath. This is heavenly wrath. What a strong heavenly wrath. This. The surrounding cultivators covered their heads and ran away in fear. Just the pressure of the heavenly might was enough to make countless cultivators tremble in fear. It was too terrifying. Not only were they terrified, but the heavenly might's pressure was still increasing. It was getting stronger and stronger. More and more cultivators looked at the sky above the Purple Heart Villa in horror. Outside the valley where the Purple Heart Villa was located, Kong Aoyin, Jindiu, Hu Guang, Tam Lang, and Feng Yinyang all looked at the sky in shock. What's going on? Jin Dayu frowned. No, could it be that Yin Chuan offended Saint Zizi? Yin Chuan was cursed? But this is too cruel. Kong Aoyin exclaimed in shock. Kong Aoyin could not imagine what Yin Chuan had done. It should be, Hua Guang suddenly said. Everyone looked at Hua Guang in confusion. Hua Guang shook his head and did not want to say more. After all, this was Yin Chuan's matter. As an official, he could not slander the emperor. Will His Majesty be in danger? Feng Yinyang asked with a frown. Everyone frowned. Yin Chuan had personally asked everyone to leave. Now that Yin Chuan did not call them in, everyone hesitated. At the center of the swirling dark clouds, the first heavenly tribulation finally descended. It was a vast heavenly fire dragon. The fire dragon roared and opened its mouth, bringing with it the power to destroy the world. The fire dragon was surrounded by endless lightning, like a waterfall falling from the heavens. Under the fire dragon's lead, the lightning came rolling down. Under the might of the heavens, the wrath of the heavens could destroy the world. In all directions, the souls of countless cultivators trembled. Just the aftermath alone was enough to make countless cultivators jump wildly. Some were even instantly driven mad by this dragon of heavenly might. The fire dragon roared and charged towards Yin Chuan. The great destruction was imminent, but Yin Chuan still did not let go of Zizi. He still hugged Zizi and kissed her deeply. The heavens and earth lit up, a sea of lightning surged, and the fire dragon rushed towards Yin Chuan. Blue sky thunderclouds. Endless azure mist suddenly appeared around Yin Chuan. The azure mist immediately rushed towards the sea of lightning and the fire dragon. Rumble. The rolling lightning entered the blue sky, thunderclouds, and disappeared. The azure mist trembled as if it was struggling, but it still managed to block the fierce attack of the heavenly tribulation. It also ferociously absorbed the heat of the heavenly fire. Rumble. The deep kiss did not stop, and the heavenly tribulation did not stop. The rolling sea of lightning and the fire dragon poured down, and endless shock waves exploded in all directions. Countless mountains and rivers were blown to pieces, and many cultivators were caught in the crossfire. It was only because of a passionate kiss that no one complained about. Chapter 801. Lightning fell like a waterfall, and fire dragons descended. The violent heaven's wrath destroyed a large number of mountains and rivers around Purple Heart Manor, implicating countless cultivators. But Purple Heart Manor was safe and sound. Hua Guang and the others could not hide their worry. They took a step forward and looked at the entrance of the valley. Under the sea of lightning, a man and a woman were hugging each other passionately. Lightning bloomed in the surroundings, and fire dragons roared in the surroundings. These two people did not seem to be in danger, but more like the danger was cheering for them. Looking at the two people hugging each other, Hua Guang, Feng Yinyang, Jindiu, and Kong Out Yin's faces stiffened, and they quickly retreated. How is this possible? How is this possible? Why didn't they strike him to death? Kong Out Yin muttered to himself. Just as he finished speaking, Kong Out Yin knew that he had let it slip again. He secretly looked at the others and saw that they were looking at him with cold eyes. I didn't say anything. Kong Out Yin immediately shouted. In the valley, ZZ gradually woke up from her daze. She suddenly relaxed and pushed Yin Chuan away. No, ZZ screamed. ZZ knew that her curse was too terrifying. Meow is not here again. It's over. She pushed Yin Chuan away in panic, but Yin Chuan grabbed ZZ's hands and did not let her go too far. Rumble. The rolling sea of lightning fell. ZZ's heart was filled with panic. She was afraid that something would happen to Yin Chuan. However, when the lightning fell, it strangely disappeared. Although there was a large amount of lightning, it did not seem to be able to hurt Yin Chuan. Seeing that Yin Chuan was safe, ZZ secretly heaved a sigh of relief. I said, I'm lucky. You can't do anything to me. Don't worry. Yin Chuan said softly. ZZ bit her lips. She was still worried. Taking a deep breath, Yin Chuan said, Come back with me and be my empress, okay? Empress? ZZ's expression was slightly dazed. It doesn't matter if it's our parents' order or our relationship. You have to go back with me. You are my wife. You can only follow me. Yin Chuan said firmly. I didn't say I wasn't going. ZZ pouted. Yin Chuan smiled and pulled ZZ into his arms again. Seeing that the lightning couldn't hurt Yin Chuan, ZZ didn't resist this time. East Divine Continent, Great Zhun Dynasty, Yin Capital, above the Sea of Providence. Ong. The golden dragon of Providence roared again. The Sea of Providence clouds churned with monstrous waves. The golden dragon of destiny seemed to be infinitely happy. Yifeng and Lu Gang walked out of the hall. How is this possible? I feel that Great Zhun has gained another member, and his position is even more honorable than ours. Lu Gang said in surprise. Lu Gang understood that they were the founding fathers of the country. It was impossible for anyone to surpass them after being conferred an official. He felt the same way a while ago. But today, someone had surpassed him? Lord Lu, don't worry. His Majesty won't confer titles randomly. Everything depends on hard work, Yifeng said with a smile. But why do I feel that this newly conferred title is more honorable than ours? Lord Yi, you should be able to feel it. The Sea of Providence has a special arrangement for officials. But this feeling, the newly conferred title, is more honorable than ours. Lu Gang said blankly. Lord Lu, you forgot about the 3 types of people, Yifeng said with a smile. Oh, Empress, Crown Prince, Princess. Do you think their titles will fall behind? Yifeng said with a smile. Ha ha. Lu Gang laughed awkwardly. Crown Prince and Princess aren't realistic. Great Zhun should have a new empress. As for this empress, if I'm not wrong, you've seen her before, Yifeng said with a smile. Chapter 802. Lu Gang's pupils constricted as he suddenly thought of someone. The Emperor is an extraordinary person, Lu Gang exclaimed. ZZ was someone that most people did not dare to approach. Even Lu Gang felt apprehensive when he saw her. But Yin Chuan insisted on marrying her. No, the Emperor is an immortal, Yifeng corrected. Purple Heart Villa? ZZ, where's your golden mask? Yin Chuan asked curiously. Since you took it off, I'm not going to wear it anymore. In the past, no one could get within 2 zhong of me. Now that I've taken off the mask, I can get within 10 zhong. However, it's enough that you can get close to me. I don't need anyone else to get close to me. ZZ's eyes flashed with a hint of sweetness. Yin Chuan nodded. Why didn't the lightning hurt you? ZZ asked curiously. I can accept it, Yin Chuan said. Oh, ZZ nodded and did not ask any more questions. She just wanted to stay by Yin Chuan's side. Why did she need to ask so many questions? Something's not right. Yin Chuan raised his eyebrows. What's wrong? ZZ asked doubtfully. I might be about to break through. Yin Chuan's expression changed. Then, you should go into seclusion first, ZZ said worriedly. No need. Help me keep a lookout and don't let anyone in. All right, There's still Huoguang and the others outside the valley. You should know them, Yin Chuan said. Zizi nodded. Zizi stepped out of the valley. Leaving Yin Chuan behind, he looked at the sky. In his shunting acupoint, the thunderclouds in the sky sent an extremely strong signal. Heaven's wrath! Heaven's wrath! Roar! Yin Chuan opened his mouth and rushed into the sky. A fierce suction force rushed into the sea of heavenly fire and lightning. Roar! Under the strong suction force, the fierce heavenly fire and lightning instantly poured into Yin Chuan's mouth. Like a whale swallowing the heavenly fire and lightning. Rumble! Countless amounts of energy poured into Yin Chuan, and countless amounts of lightning tempered Yin Chuan. However, the momentum of this tempering was too fierce. It was so ferocious that Yin Chuan's fleshly body almost couldn't bear it. However, the blue sky thundercloud continued to absorb the heavenly tribulation clouds. In fact, it was even absorbing the heavenly tribulation clouds. Rumble! The clouds of heaven's wrath pressed down harder and harder, and the surroundings of the Purple Heart Villa had long been razed to the ground. Countless cultivators fled in all directions. Oh my God! Heavenly punishment? What kind of heavenly punishment is this? Help! Countless Xiozha fled in all directions in fear. Huoguang, Feng Yinyang, Jin Deyu, and the others were also shocked. The cloud of heavenly wrath was slowly sinking. Correspondingly, the pressure was getting stronger and stronger, more and more terrifying. Let's go. I don't want to die yet. Yin Chuan, what did he do? Kong Outyin shouted in fear. Shut up. Tan Lang shouted. Under the pressure of the heavenly tribulation, none of us will be able to escape. We are dead for sure. I saw Yin Chuan hugging that god of calamity earlier. Now that the heavenly tribulation clouds is pressing down, he won't do that, god of calamity, right? Oh my God, I don't want to die. Let me go. I don't want to die. Kong Outyin cried. Kong Outyin wanted to escape, but these people did not give him any chance. This was the first time Kong Outyin saw Yin Chuan, and he was horrified. He was so lustful that he did not care about his life. Everyone looked at the sky anxiously. However, Huoguang's eyes suddenly lit up. This scene was so familiar. I will go and save the emperor, Jin Deyu said worriedly. No, Lord Jin, perhaps nothing will happen. Huoguang guessed. Nothing will happen? Jin Deyu said in disbelief. Just as everyone was in a stalemate, ZZ stepped out of the valley. Chapter 803. God of Plagues. Kong Outyin retreated in fear, but was blocked by Tan Lang. Empress, is His Majesty all right? Huoguang asked worriedly. He's fine. Protect Yin Chuan. ZZ said. All right. Huoguang nodded. I don't believe it. What if His Majesty is in danger? I want to see for myself. Jin Deyu said stubbornly. It would be too embarrassing if the emperor died right after joining Dejun. Jin Deyu dashed forward. Feng Yinyang also ran to the entrance of the valley worriedly. At this moment, Kong Outyin only wanted to escape. He did not have the heart to investigate the situation. Tan Lang listened to Huoguang. Huoguang had already guessed what was going on, so he quickly looked around. Feng Yinyang and Jin Deyu dashed to the entrance of the valley. But the moment they rushed to the entrance of the valley, their worries disappeared and were replaced by a kind of dazed shock. The two of them looked into the valley in shock. Yin Chuan was surrounded by endless thunderbolts. It was as though there were chains of thunderbolts trapping Yin Chuan. But if one looked closely, they would realize that the lightning wasn't trapping Yin Chuan, but was escaping. Unfortunately, Yin Chuan opened his mouth and sucked them back. Swallowing lightning with his mouth was nothing. Jin Deyu and Feng Yinyang could still clearly see the rolling clouds of heaven's wrath pressing down. A corner of the heaven's wrath was directly aimed at Yin Chuan's mouth. Yin Chuan opened his mouth and roared. As lightning flashed in his eyes, the clouds of heaven's wrath were being swallowed by Yin Chuan. Swallowing the clouds of heaven's wrath all by himself? That scene was a heavy blow to the minds of the two. How is this a human? This was a peerless demon god. No, Even a peerless demon god wouldn't be this exaggerated. Was he swallowing the wrath of heaven's wrath? Oh my god, was this for real? Feng Yinyang and Jin Dayu's worldview was turned upside down. This. If the two of you are Yin Chuan subjects, you should scrupulously abide by your duties. Yin Chuan asked you to guard the surroundings and protect him. Don't just stand here all the time, ZZ said faintly. Oh. The two of them immediately regained their senses. Yin Chuan was fine, but the two of them were greatly shocked. He quickly left the mouth of the valley. They were guarding the surroundings to prevent any sneak attacks. After all, this scene was too shocking. When Jin Dayu first joined the Great Jin Academy, it could be said that he was half coaxed and half forced. After all, Jin Dayu always thought that Yin Chuan only had a stronger will and better luck than him, but his strength was no match for him. Of course, that was the truth. However, after seeing the scene just now, Jin Dayu no longer had such thoughts. What a joke! Even the wrath of the heavens could be swallowed. Was this still considered weak? While Yin Chuan was swallowing the wrath of the heavens, news of what happened at Purple Heart Villa spread out rapidly. This was a sensitive place to begin with, and there were many spies of various forces around. Meng Hongying's main hall. Meng Hongying was conversing with Guyu Holy Sun, reporting, Holy Lady. Holy Lady. A cultivator entered the hall. What's wrong? Meng Hongying asked curiously. Holy Lady, the Purple Heart Villa is facing the wrath of the heavens. The cultivator reported. Wrath of the heavens. Meng Hongying's face changed. Guyu Holy Sun, we'll talk later. Meng Hongying left Guyu Holy Sun behind and flew out of the main hall. Looking at Meng Hongying's departure, Guyu Holy Sun squinted his eyes. Wrath of the heavens? There's wrath of the heavens outside the god world. Could it be the great world suppressing monument? No, I can't let go of any possibility. The Holy Lord sent me here because he trusts me. I can't screw this up. I have to be quick. Guyu Holy Sun narrowed his eyes and chased after Meng Hongying. On the other side, there was another main hall with the words 10th God Hall written on it. A cultivator ran over in a hurry. Chapter 804. The wrath of heaven descended upon Purple Heart Villa, and countless cultivators fled. Far away from the perimeter, the Xiozha, who were safe, turned back to look. The Purple Heart Villa had already been covered by the heavenly tribulation and was slowly sinking. No one knew what had happened, but they could feel their souls trembling from the vast power. High up in the sky, a storm was raging. No one dared to approach, and no one knew what had happened. Swish! A red light flashed, and Meng Hongying quickly flew over with a worried look on her face. Greetings, Saintess! Countless cultivators bowed respectfully. However, Meng Hongying ignored him. Instead, he stared at the rolling clouds of heavenly tribulation in the distance. Lightning and heavenly fire surged towards the Purple Heart Villa. Have you seen Saint Z? Meng Hongying asked a cultivator beside her. No. That person immediately replied. Meng Hongying's face darkened. She took a deep breath and headed toward the Purple Heart Villa. Saintess, don't. The crowd of cultivators, Jiaohu shouted. However, Meng Hongying ignored him. Ooh! Suddenly, a golden light appeared in front of Meng Hongying. Jin Dayu appeared in an instant, stirring up the air currents. Of course, compared to the might of the heavenly wrath, it was much weaker. Halt! Jin Dayu said in a deep voice. Who are you? Meng Hongying glared at him. He was filled with anger. Behind him, Meng Hongying's 4 servants quickly flew over. Meng Hongying lashed out with her whip as if she was about to attack. Oh! Immediately, ZZ flew into the sky. ZZ, are you all right? Meng Hongying was overjoyed. I'm fine. ZZ nodded. Jin Dayu took a look and quickly flew downwards, disappearing into the forest in the blink of an eye. He continued to protect Yin Chuan. Tell them to guard the surroundings. Don't let anyone in. ZZ said to Meng Hongying. Did you hear that? Meng Hongying looked at the 4 of them. Yes. The 4 servants immediately replied. ZZ brought Meng Hongying to the entrance of the Purple Heart Mountain Villa. At the entrance of the valley, Greed, along with Kong Outyin, Huoguang, and Feng Yinyang, had all disappeared. Clearly, they had gone to guard the surroundings to prevent any thieves from sneaking in. Saintess Red Embellishment, I've been kidnapped by Yin Chuan. Quick, save me. Kong Outyin exclaimed in surprise. Meng Hongying frowned as a trace of disgust flashed in her eyes. She ignored him and looked at ZZ. Yin Chuan is here? Meng Hongying's expression changed slightly. And ZZ's face revealed a sweet smile. Yin Chuan is inside the valley? Meng Hongying asked in surprise. The wrath of heaven is here. He's dealing with it. ZZ said. ZZ didn't mention Yin Chuan's breakthrough. She didn't want to. Meng Hongying had a complicated look on her face when she saw the heavenly wrath surging toward the Purple Heart Manor. Meng Hongying had already guessed what was going on. Meng Hongying had seen this kind of heavenly punishment before. Last time in the Carefree City, ZZ was assassinated by a lower void realm expert. At that time, it was the punishment of the heavens for hurting ZZ. However, what about this time? What kind of grudge would cause such a magnificent scene to appear again? What did Yin Chuan do to you? Meng Hongying asked curiously. He hugged me. ZZ's eyes flashed with happiness. SSS. Meng Hongying finally understood what was going on with this magnificent heavenly punishment. Hug. Ordinary people wouldn't even dare to get close to ZZ. However, Yin Chuan hugged her. Moreover, Yin Chuan still dared to hug ZZ, despite knowing that she was evil. If he hugged her, he would be punished by the heavens. However, Yin Chuan still hugged her. Chapter 805. For some reason, Meng Hongying was envious of Ziyan. Congratulations! Meng Hongying exclaimed sincerely. I've agreed to be his empress. I'll go home with him immediately. ZZ smiled. Home? Isn't this your home? Meng Hongying asked curiously. ZZ shook her head gently and revealed a blissful smile that Meng Hongying couldn't understand. This is just a place to stay. Home is when I'm with Yin Chuan. A place to stay? Home. Meng Hongying was deeply touched. She looked at ZZ with deep envy. Rumble. More and more heaven's wrath flowed towards Purple Heart Villa. It took 6 hours for all the heaven's wrath to enter. The heaven's wrath had completely disappeared. At the same time, Feng Yinyang's voice came from outside the valley. Great mystifying fog array. Whoosh! Around the Purple Heart Villa, thick fog suddenly surged into the sky, covering the entire area, making it impossible for outsiders to see what was inside. However, they could see a faint beam of star intent descending from the sky. Star intent? Countless cultivators were curious. The star intent came from Yin Chuan. In Purple Heart Villa, roar. Yin Chuan's skin cracked slightly and lightning arcs circled around him. He opened his mouth and swallowed the last bit of Heaven's Wrath Cloud. The Heaven's Wrath Cloud was too violent. It was so violent that his body couldn't withstand it. Yin Chuan had no choice but to use all his strength and connect with the star intent to protect himself. Rumble. The lightning arcs around him kept cracking his skin, but under the star intent, they kept shrinking. Yin Chuan sat down with his legs crossed. The azure thundercloud in his body quickly swallowed the Heaven's Wrath Cloud. The azure thundercloud expanded and contracted. It was digesting the Heaven's Wrath Cloud. Every time it expanded and contracted, a powerful force rushed into Yin Chuan's body. Boom! Tier 4 Divine State. Tier 5 Divine State. Tier 6 Divine State. Tier 7 Divine State. Tier 8 Divine State. Yin Chuan's cultivation skyrocketed once more. With a speed that outsiders could not understand at all, he directly rushed to the 8th level of the Divine Realm before stopping. All the thunder and lightning around him had been absorbed by the blue sky thundercloud. Gulialu. The thunderclouds in the blue sky churned. Gradually, it returned to its original state. It just looked a lot more exquisite. Yin Chuan opened his eyes and dispersed the will of the stars. The 3rd level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture? Yin Chuan asked doubtfully. It doesn't seem to be any different. Yin Chuan looked ahead, and his expression suddenly became serious. Just like before, he shot a heavenly thunder at a small hill in front of him. Boom! A clap of thunder sounded. But there was no lightning. A gentle breeze blew past, as if nothing had happened. Huh? Yin Chuan revealed a trace of surprise. What's going on? The first level of the heaven-devouring Tao scripture attracted heavenly tribulation and heavenly lightning. At the second level, it was the heavenly shepherd tribulation. But at the third level, there was no more tribulation, only one clap of thunder. Why was it that the more he trained, the weaker he became? Even the lightning was gone. Just as Yin Chuan was puzzled, a strange change suddenly happened on the small hill. The original grass grew rapidly, and in the blink of an eye, it was as tall as a person. On the small hill, a small tree that was as thick as an arm suddenly grew strangely. It grew taller and taller, thicker and thicker arms, thighs, and waist. The plants grew crazily, inexplicably crazily. Yin Chuan's eyelids twitched. This is? Yin Chuan frowned deeply, thinking about why. After a while, Yin Chuan's eyes suddenly lit up. Chapter 806. I understand now. I understand now. Lightning doesn't just represent destruction. I misunderstood. What lay represents should be life. In winter, all living things lay dormant, only waiting for the spring thunder to sound to command the world, and all living things would awaken. Spring thunder, all things grow. This is the first thunderbolt every year. Yin Chuan's eyes flashed with surprise. Lightning and thunderstorms are only the most superficial manifestations of lightning. Is the heaven-devouring Tao scripture helping me understand the essence and origin of lightning? This was only the third stage, spring lightning. Just what kind of cultivation technique is this heaven-devouring Tao scripture? Yin Chuan was incomparably shocked in his heart. Heaven mender? Dugu Butian once said that I was also a heaven mender. Could it be that he's talking about the heaven-devouring Tao scripture? Yin Chuan's eyes suddenly focused. But the more he thought about it, the more likely it seemed. He knew that the heaven-devouring Tao scripture was far beyond what he had come into contact with in his previous life. Suppressing the shock in his heart, Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. Spring lightning? All things are born? He stretched out his left hand, revealing a seed birthmark on his left wrist. Poison ivy. Before I died in my previous life, I used the life-stealing poison, hoping to reincarnate with all the treasures from my previous life. Inside the sky-burying coffin, there were many treasures buried with me, but only you reincarnated with me. It can be seen that your spirituality is much greater than the other treasures. After sleeping for so many years, we will use the spring lightning to awaken you. Yin Chuan said with a serious look in his eyes. With a slight pressure, the birthmark slowly floated out of Yin Chuan's arm. Spring thunder, all things grow. Facing the germinating seed, Yin Chuan once again cast spring thunder. Boom! When the spring thunder struck, the seed suddenly trembled violently. Boom! A large number of vines shot out from the seed like tentacles, quickly emerging and growing. Chi! The two vines instantly pierced into the ground. Poison ivy's body rapidly grew. At this moment, countless vegetation in the valley began to rapidly wither. The large trees and grass that had just grown rapidly also rapidly withered, as if their lives had been sucked out by the vine. Ka-ka, ka-ka. The earth was turning into sand, and the essence of the earth was being extracted by the vines. Bang, bang. In the valley, more and more vines emerged from the ground. In the blink of an eye, tens of thousands of vines covered the entire valley. Moreover, they were getting thicker and more numerous. The desertified land spread out in all directions, extending out of the valley. In the distance, the forests withered and the earth turned into sand. What's going on? Meng Hongying exclaimed. Everyone quickly floated up. With Feng Yinyang's formation covering them, the outside world couldn't see what was happening inside. After a long while, the expansion of the desertified land finally stopped. In the valley, countless vines covered the sky, wrapping Yin Chuan within. In the center of the sea of vines, a monster appeared in front of Yin Chuan. It was a humanoid monster, but its body was made of plant roots. Its arms and legs were made of vines, and there were vines on its head. It controlled the sea of vines. Above its head was a pair of dark eyes. He seemed to be at a loss. It had some spirituality, but it lacked intelligence. Poison Ivy, you have finally recovered the strength of your previous life, Yin Chuan said excitedly. The humanoid Poison Ivy quickly wrapped around Yin Chuan and rubbed against Yin Chuan, as though he was trying to curry favor with his master. No, you have evolved more than in your previous life. Don't move. There are a few words on your chest this time. Yin Chuan immediately looked at Poison Ivy's chest in surprise. In front of Poison Ivy's chest, there was a line of words that seemed to have been formed by nature. Unparalleled divine weapon, Vine Demon, 7th. Yin Chuan read the words on Poison Ivy's chest. Chapter 807. Outside Purple Heart Villa, Guyu Holy Sun stood among the crowd, frowning as he looked at the foggy Purple Heart Villa in the distance. Guyu Holy Sun arrived quickly. Before Meng Hongying arrived, Guyu Holy Sun had already hidden among the crowd. He saw some of it, but could not be sure that it was the great world-suppressing monument. Guyu Holy Sun watched quietly as the crowd discussed. In Purple Heart Villa, countless vines retracted back into the humanoid Vine Demon's body. Vine Demon of the Peerless Divine Weapon, 7th? Yin Chuan looked at the Vine Demon in confusion. Peerless Divine Weapon? It seems that you were created by a powerful immortal. Peerless Divine Weapon? Your 7th? Are there more? Yin Chuan frowned in surprise. Yeah. The humanoid Vine Demon shrunk rapidly and turned into a ginseng. It circled Yin Chuan for a while and finally rubbed against Yin Chuan's arm. No matter how you came to be, since you're already mine, Yin Chuan, you're mine. Vine Demon? Since you're called Vine Demon, I'll call you Vine Demon from now on. Yin Chuan nodded in satisfaction. Yeah. The Vine Demon cried out happily and shrunk again. It went into Yin Chuan's left wrist and formed a root pattern. Peerless Divine Weapon? Yin Chuan was delighted. Not only was he not injured by the heavenly punishment, but his cultivation had also increased to Tier 8 of the Divine Realm. The heaven-devouring Tao Scripture had also increased to Tier 3. The Vine Demon had also evolved to the state of his previous life. Yin Chuan was in a good mood. He waved his sleeves and walked out of the valley. The valley had completely turned into sand, but Yin Chuan did not care. He saw ZZ and Meng Hongying as soon as he walked out of the valley. ZZ's eyes flashed with worry while Meng Hongying's eyes flashed with a complicated look. Saintess Hongying, we meet again. Yin Chuan smiled. Meng Hongying snorted coldly. Apparently, she still couldn't let go of Yin Chuan's sincerity that day at the hot spring. Or perhaps she still didn't treat him nicely because of her modesty. Are you done? ZZ asked worriedly. Everything is fine. Yin Chuan nodded. At this time, Jin Deyu, Feng Yinyang, and Hua Guang also returned. Jin Deyu's cultivation was 2 realms higher than Yin Chuan's. Naturally, he could tell that Yin Chuan's cultivation was at the 8th tier of the God Realm. Jin Deyu's jaw dropped. Was this a joke? His cultivation was growing too fast. ZZ, it's time for us to leave. Yin Chuan said. Yes. ZZ nodded. He's leaving just like that? Meng Hongying suddenly felt a sense of melancholy. I'm going home. ZZ smiled. Should I inform grandfather? Meng Hongying said, all of a sudden. There's no need. I've been here for more than 30 years, and I've never seen him. It doesn't matter if I don't see him now. ZZ shook her head. All right. Meng Hongying nodded. Yin Chuan looked at Kong Outyin. Outyin, Holy Sun, regardless of the grudges between our parents, you and I are connected by blood. Once we're out of the arcane sacred grounds, we'll let you go immediately. Yin Chuan said solemnly. Good. All right, I wish you two a long, long life. Kong Outyin said excitedly. Yin Chuan waved at Feng Yinyang. Feng Yinyang nodded, and a white light shot up into the sky. Whoosh! The white light shot up into the sky as if it was a signal. The fog around them slowly dispersed. As the fog dispersed, the deserted ground was exposed. What's going on? Purple Heart Villa has turned into a desert? Ah, that's Holy Daughter Z. The man beside her is standing so close to her. Does he want to die? Chapter 808. Countless cultivators were in a heated discussion. Guyu Holy Sun squinted his eyes in the distant crowd. Yin Chuan. Guyu Holy Sun's face darkened slightly. Guyu Holy Sun had suffered a lot in the hands of Yin Chuan. He looked at Yin Chuan gloomily with exceptionally cold eyes. Just when many people were surprised, a flying boat suddenly flew over from afar and landed near Yin Chuan. Saint Hongying, farewell. Yin Chuan led the crowd to bid farewell. Meng Hongying did not know why, but she still nodded her head calmly. Want to leave? Suddenly, a furious roar exploded in the void. Father, father, I'm here! Kong Out Yin shouted excitedly. Whoosh! 10 figures abruptly appeared in the sky, and 9 of them were precisely the 9 void stage experts that had followed Yin Chuan for a few months, whereas the one in the lead wore a black robe, had a fair face, and his eyes emitted a faint light. Kong Xinshui. Yin Chuan narrowed his eyes. Last time, it was the Merit Dharma Laksana. This time, it was his real body. If it was before, even if Kong Out Yin was in his hands, Yin Chuan would be slightly worried. But now, with the resurrection of the Vine Demon, Yin Chuan finally had something to rely on. Greetings, Blooming Water Palace Master. Shouts came from all directions. Kong Xinshui looked coldly at the crowd in front of the flying boat. You still dare to come back? Kong Xinshui said coldly. I didn't expect that Palace Master Kong would come out to see me off while refining treasures in seclusion. Yin Chuan said with a smile. See you off? Ha ha. Leave your imperial seal and let my son go. Seeing that you are Kong Susu's son, I'll spare your life. Get out of the holy ground of the archaic sect. Kong Xinshui shouted coldly. Haha, my imperial seal. Yin Chuan's eyes turned cold. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan's attitude. If I want to leave, no one could stop me. If you want my imperial seal, come to Zhen. Yin Chuan said coldly. Huh. Kong Xinshui narrowed his eyes and released a powerful aura towards the crowd. Jin Diyu took a step forward, and a ferocious aura gushed forth. But in the end, his cultivation base was weaker than Kong Xuanshui's, and he couldn't gain the upper hand in terms of aura. Blooming Water Palace Master, why are you doing this? Meng Hongying suddenly stepped forward and shouted. Hongying, he's an outsider who kidnapped the Holy Sun. Why are you defending him? Kong Xinshui retorted coldly. They're just worried that the Blooming Water Hall Master isn't willing to let go. I believe in Yin Chuan's character. He said that he would release Proud Heaven's Holy Sun as soon as it is safe. Meng Hongying said, but I don't believe it. Kong Xinshui shook his head. If you don't believe it, I can go with them. After we leave the Archaean sect, I will bring Proud Heaven's Holy Sun back. What do you think? Meng Hongying said with a frown. I don't want to trouble you with my business. Kong Xinshui refused to give up. You. Meng Hongying's face darkened. Yin Chuan looked at Kong Xinshui and said with a faint smile, Kong Xinshui, Level 1 Upper Void Stage. You just reached the Upper Void Stage not long ago, right? Huh. Kong Xinshui narrowed his eyes. ZZ, let's go. Yin Chuan said with a smile. Go. You can't go. Kong Xuanshui's face darkened. His body swayed, and he instantly grabbed at Yin Chuan. Boom! In the desert, a huge rattan as thick as a water bucket suddenly shot up into the sky. It was like a dragon, and it was swung at Kong Xinshui. Huh! Boom! Under the huge impact, a storm was set off, blowing the surrounding sandstorm into the sky. Kong Xinshui paused. His eyes flashed with surprise. Chapter 809. Kong Xinshui was not the only one. Almost everyone who knew Yin Chuan was shocked. The vines retreated back into the desert. No one knew where the vines came from, but they all knew that Yin Chuan had stopped Kong Xinshui. The ancient Moon Holy Sun gaped at this scene in shock. Jin Diyu looked at Yin Chuan with admiration. At this moment, Jin Diyu no longer had any doubts about Yin Chuan's strength. How is that possible? Kong Xinshui was in disbelief. Father, don't worry. I will be back soon, Kong Out-yin shouted. Although Kong Out-yin was a lawless person, he still had a strong father-son relationship with his father. Did Kong Out-yin notice that his father had not gained any advantage from the previous attack? What if his father was injured? No, I must save you. Kong Xinshui shook his head and said. Yin Chuan looked at Kong Xinshui and said with a smile, Tam Lang, let Kong Out-yin go. Ah, Tam Lang was stunned. Everyone looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. Let Kong Out-yin go. However, when they thought of the whip, they calmed down. Yes. Tan Lang immediately let Kong Out-yin go. Kong Out-yin felt quite shocked and flew away from Yin Chuan in confusion. F.A. Father? I am free, Kong Out-yin said excitedly. Kong Xinshui looked at Yin Chuan in confusion. Yin Chuan said indifferently, It's fine if I didn't know about Kong Out-yin's bloodline, but since I know that Kong Out-yin is related to me by blood, I, Yin Chuan, have no reason to use my relative as a hostage. If my son doesn't betray me, I won't betray him. If my son doesn't betray me, I will not betray him. Kong Out-yin looked at Yin Chuan with a complicated expression. Did Yin Chuan mean that if you didn't do anything to me, I wouldn't do anything to you because we are relatives? Kong Out-yin hated Yin Chuan, but at this moment he had mixed feelings. ZZ, let's go, Yin Chuan said to ZZ. Yes. ZZ nodded. Don't go, Kong Xinshui shouted. What? You still haven't given up on my imperial seal? Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Kong Xinshui's expression was complicated. Finally, he said in a low voice, Since you let my son go, as his uncle, I don't want your imperial seal. You can go, but she's not allowed to leave. Kong Xinshui pointed at ZZ coldly. ZZ, not allowed to leave? ZZ's eyes darkened. Yin Chuan stood in front of ZZ, his face cold. Blooming Waterhall Master, Saint Z was conferred by my grandfather. You can't control her. Meng Hongying shouted again. Father, what are you doing? Let them go. Kong Out-yin shouted in confusion. Father is doing this for your own good. Kong Xinshui frowned. For my own good? I don't want to. Father, she and Yin Chuan are husband and wife. Why do you want to keep her? Kong Out-yin suddenly shouted. Husband and wife? Yin Chuan doesn't deserve her. Her husband can only be you. Kong Xinshui said in a deep voice. I don't want to. I don't want to be a plague. Father, I don't want to. Kong Out-yin exclaimed. The surrounding people. Was there an internal conflict between the father and son? Slap. Kong Xinshui slapped Kong Out-yin's face. After the slap, Kong Xinshui regretted it. It was also the first time that Kong Out-yin was slapped by his father. He covered his mouth, his eyes filled with disbelief, and tears gushed out. Father, you hit me. Sob, sob, mother, father hit me. Kong Out-yin cried. The surrounding cultivators were speechless. Kong Out-yin's temperament was too exaggerated. Now, he was crying for his dead mother. Kong Xinshui persuaded in a low voice. Out-yin, how could I harm you? Do you know what ZZ's fate is? In order to give birth to this fate, I've done many things to make ZZ's parents marry each other. It's all for you, for you. Kong Xinshui controlled his voice so that others couldn't hear him. They all thought that Kong Xinshui was comforting his son. With such a father, many cultivators were envious. For me, Kong Out-yin wiped his tears and asked in confusion. That's right. You also have a special physique. When I found out about your physique, I spent a lot of effort to find the fate of ZZ's parents. You must get her. My son will become the pride of the Kong family. Those old guys will support Kong Moku. Emperor Moku? My son's future achievements will not be inferior to his. Kong Xinshui comforted in a low voice. Chapter 8:10. While Kong Xinshui was persuading his son, Yin Chuan ordered ZZ, Huoguang, and the rest to board the airship. Kong Xinshui glanced at the airship and said angrily, I said, no one is allowed to leave. Whoosh! A powerful aura spread out and blocked the airship. Yin Chuan walked behind Kong Xinshui and said coldly, Hull Master Kong, Are you suppressing some kind of treasure? Eh. Kong Xuanshui's face darkened. Your attack just now was not at the level of an upper void realm cultivator. You can't stop us if you don't give up on suppressing the treasure. ZZ is my wife. No one can stop me if I want to take her away, Yin Chuan said. Ridiculous. You think you can stop me just because you have a pseudo-immortal weapon? So what if it's a pseudo-immortal weapon? You can't control it, Kong Xianshui said coldly. You can give it a try. Yin Chuan's eyes were cold as he refused to back down. Attack! Kong Xianshui shouted at the 9 middle void realm cultivators. As he spoke, Kong Xianshui slapped out with his palm. A gigantic black palm print pressed down on Yin Chuan. The sea of sand seemed to have exploded. A dragon-shaped giant vine rushed out from the sea of sand and swung at the black handprint. Boom! The giant vine smashed the giant handprint and slashed at Kong Xianshui. Eh? Kong Xianshui narrowed his eyes and reached out his hand to grab the sky. Boom! A huge handprint caught the dragon-shaped giant vine. Kong Xianshui restrained the giant vine in an instant. He clenched his fist, and the giant vine was suddenly deformed. He was proud of himself. Suddenly, the sea of sand exploded again. 3 dragon-shaped giant vines rushed out from the sea of sand and swung at Kong Xianshui. There are more? Kong Xuanshui's face changed. 3 giant vines swung at Kong Xianshui. Yin Chuan also had a giant vine under his feet. Yin Chuan floated up slowly. The 9 middle void realm cultivators rushed at the airship. Let's see who dares to come. Zizi suddenly took a step forward, a trace of gloominess flashing in her eyes. The 9 middle void stage experts' complexions changed, and their bodies came to a halt. They were well aware of how terrifying ZZ was. One of the middle void stage cultivators had even personally experienced it. That was a middle void stage cultivator. After he had contradicted ZZ, he had been unlucky for more than a month. Even his loving wife had eloped with Immortal. It was a great humiliation and an eternal nightmare. Now that ZZ had taken a step forward, the 9 intermediate void stage experts didn't dare to take a step forward. This Saint Lady ZZ was too strange. Boom! On the other side, the 3 vines collided with Kong Xianshui. Kong Xianshui struck out 3 palms and blocked the 3 giant vines. However, Kong Xuanshui's step of capturing Yin Chuan was stopped instantly. Master Kong, take out the treasure that you're suppressing. Otherwise, you won't be able to stop me today. I can see that at least 70% of your strength is suppressing that treasure, Yin Chuan said in a deep voice. Kong Xianshui looked coldly at Yin Chuan and then at ZZ. His eyes were filled with uncertainty. That's right. If you don't take it out, I can't do anything to you. If you take it out, I can only use it once. In that case, I'll take out ZZ's birth chart, Kong Xianshui said coldly. What did you say? Yin Chuan's eyes turned cold. Everyone only had one birth chart. If one's birth chart was taken out, he would definitely die. I'm the one who brought ZZ into this world. Without me, her parents wouldn't have gotten married. Her birth chart is mine, Kong Xianshui said coldly. You're tuning in to the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.